This episode is brought to you by HackMotion. HackMotion is a cutting-edge wrist sensor for teaching wrist motion for compressed tour-like shots. I spent some time with these guys down at the show, and I really enjoyed how easy it was to use, and the calibration time was super simple, and especially the biofeedback option that will definitely make for a more effective golf lesson for your students. You can use it with your iPhone, your iPad, and it gives your students the feel to go along with the reel as you teach the proper wrist motion for better club face control, which, as you know, is huge in the teaching game. Used by some of the top coaches in our industry, HackMotion is a must for serious golf teachers, coaches, or players. Also, when ordering upon checkout, use the promo code GURU, GURU, to receive free shipping, which is a $30 value. For more information and to order, visit their website at hackmotion.com. HackMotion.com today. This episode is sponsored by Alpha Herd Performance Clothing. At Alpha Herd, we believe that everyone is good at something, whether it be your favorite sport, hobby, or anything you're really passionate about. Our clothes are designed for you to not only look good, but also feel good while you're on the field, court, stage, or the top of the mountain. At the end of the day, we can rest assured that in whatever we do, we give it our best. Be the Alpha Herd of your herd. I can tell you this stuff is great. It really is comfortable. It's stylish. It's got a really cool logo. They've got regular t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirts, stuff you can work out in, which is really cool. An up and coming company for sure. So you want to check them out. You can go to alpha-herd.myshopify.com to check out these cool products, and I guarantee you won't be disappointed.
It's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
You know how to cut to the core of me, Baxter. You're so wise. But like a miniature Buddha covered in hair.
I once read an interesting book. It said that most people lost in the wilds, they die of shame.
What?
Yeah. See, they die of shame. What did I do wrong? How could I have gotten myself into this? And so they sit there and they die. Because they didn't do the one thing which would have saved their lives.
And what is that, Charles?
Thinking.
I want to become a guru so girls will like me. Then I will like myself.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing out there? Welcome to another episode of the Golf Guru Show. I am your host, Jason Sutton, and I am the Guru. On this episode, I have my good friend Chris Trevino back on the show. This will be his second appearance. If you want to go listen to his first podcast back in early January, it would be episode 41. If you haven't heard that, it's one of my most popular episodes. So go check that out. This guy needs no introduction, as he is a owner and operator of a high performance facility in Reno, Nevada, where he owns the Trevino Golf Institute, which is a year-round performance center, and also uses a couple of clubs in that area to do his outdoor work. Chris is a former tour player, now obviously turned teacher, so he comes at it from a very tour player perspective, but is now getting into more of the technical side and using his strengths, which is, teaching people how to play the game. But I can assure you this is one of the most brilliant, forward-thinking guys that I've ever spent time around, and we'll be doing some schools and projects here in the near future, so be on the lookout for that. And we also discuss that at the end of the podcast, so kind of hang around for that. I know it's a long interview, which I like to do, but it is well worth the wait. And as the last podcast, I do recommend earmuffs for the kids because there is some language, there is some cursing, but I can promise you that there's a lot of great information in this interview that you don't want to miss. And So without further ado, I bring you the brilliant and always entertaining Mr. Chris Trevino. Enjoy. All right, Chris Trevino, how you doing, man? Welcome back.
What up, bro? How are you, man?
I'm good.
Thank you.
You were one of
appreciate it.
absolutely. You're one of the, I guess, most popular podcast here now. Like you said, like a cult figure out there in the teaching world.
I know. I didn't know I was so well liked out there.
Well, it was awesome to have you on last time. So I thought, well, shoot, we didn't even scratch the surface, I think, of everything we wanted to talk about. So I wanted to have you back on, and I know we've been discussing a lot of cool topics about juniors and coaching and whatnot. And I'm sure you've got a few more stories. So I reached out, to the public and got a few ideas as well. So we'll kind of see where it goes. But it's just good to have you back on, and I appreciate you taking the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Listening, it's always strange to hear yourself back, the next day, especially when it's your first podcast and you're kind of going, damn, man, I must have had a lot to drink that night. I was letting the F-bombs just flowing like it was nobody's deal out here. So, yeah, for those of you out there that I offended, I apologize, but it was all meant in good fun. And also to put an exclamation point where, I don't know, I just think as a society we need to quit labeling crap and just, if you say fuck sometimes, you just say it, I mean, that's just how it is, it's like, it's not the end of the world, it doesn't mean I'm, it's not because I can't use other words, because I feel like using that fucking word, so that's why I use it. So, it's one of those kind of things. But I think thanks for having me on. And, before we start, I just think that got me hooked on listening to the rest of the guys that you've had on the show, from Sean Foley and, and Manzella and Shartuk and all these other guys. And it's just awesome, dude. I mean, what you're doing for the teaching game and what you're doing for all of us pros that are coming up through the ranks right now. I can't thank you enough. I've learned so much just from listening to those other guys, and it's just an honor to be included in the same group.
Well, thanks for that. It's fun because, I selfishly get to learn from guys like you and the guys that I have on the podcast. And like I said at the beginning of this project, it's really us having conversations and phone calls and then sharing it with other coaches and the young coaches out there specifically. And I know we're going to talk a lot about junior golf because you're doing some incredible things at your academy with junior golf. And we've had some discussions, as we'll get to here probably later in the show, about doing some collaborations and including some other top coaches. Yep. So, but I kind of want to go back to your previous podcast because you had so many great stories, and it was, but you always listen back. And I think I always tell guys that, I usually listen to the podcast like once afterwards just to see, whether how bad I sucked or, how much I can improve and to kind of take notes on the guys that I talk to. And I've listened to yours multiple times and have had so many positive comments about your show and your episode. But I want to dig back into your first lesson with Fred Blackmar, because I think that was interesting in the fact that I think you sort of brushed it off as like, okay, I wanted to be good. A guy was helping me, but I mean the quickness of your, I guess, not just the talent level, but just how quickly you got good at golf was incredible. If you think about it, if you start at 15 and at 17, you're already getting recruited by Texas. I mean, we skipped a lot of steps in there, right? So unpack a little bit about, some of the stuff that you remember that we can share with the listeners about what Fred Blackmar taught you, like how he taught you, and then how much of that was just I think like you said, you were a gritty kid and obviously an outstanding athlete.
Yeah. I think at the core of everybody's success, I think when you're in those teenage years, it's got to come from this sort of burning place inside that lives inside of you. You know what I mean? Like if you are an athletic kid and you do have a tunnel vision towards and a clarity of purpose, it really, I mean, and this is by no means disrespect Mr. Blackmore, because that's my boy. I mean, I'll ride or die for that guy. But it's like, it wouldn't really matter who's coaching you at that point. If you're the guy willing to get up every morning and get to work and, brush off parties with friends and brush off vacations and just do you, then I think there's a solid fighting chance. But for Mr. Blackmore, the deal was from the green backwards. So once I got, the blessing from him that he was going to take care of me and deal with what I needed to do, he never placed an emphasis on like how I was hitting the ball. It was almost as if like, you can shoot any score from how you hit the ball. And so I never, like, until I got to college, I didn't even know I really sucked at ball striking as bad as I did, until I was really in college, because I just never placed value in hitting it in the middle of the face and controlling the curve and, what I look like at P5 and, all that kind of bullshit. That wasn't part of my gig. My gig was, how far am I? Where's the worst trouble? Where's the pin? How can I skank this thing along the ground and chip and putt and beat somebody? And for Mr. Blackmore, it was just like, okay, here's the grip. Don't mess with it, And he taught me, palmy versus fingery. He was a little bit more of a palmy guy, so I was a left-handed. I did everything lefty. So when he got a hold of me, it was super easy for me to process. Super easy for me to process the club face with my left hand. So he had me kind of a weak left-hand grip, like almost like a Ola Thobel,
neutral,
kind of thumb down the shaft. Yeah, super thumb down the shaft, and super palmy, so not really low in the hand at all. And that gave me this really strong connection to the true club face. You know what I mean? Because you get guys down freaking rodeo four fingering that shit, way down there. They don't really have a true recognition of the club face. And you get some pro telling them, oh, you're fine, just pivot harder and the face will stay open. It's like, I don't know, man. I think in the beginning stages of golf, having a true recognition of how your left wrist and the club face work really paid dividends for me, because I knew how to arch my wrist to hit it low. I knew how to cup it to hit it high. I knew how to roll it to hit it left. I mean, like I could feel the face, I think, a lot better. So he let me strengthen my grip down the road, but he put me super duper weak in the left hand out the gate.
So it sounds very much like you're, result oriented, right? So you're thinking of just a score, and like I said, you weren't too you didn't get caught up into like what other kids look like, how well they hit the ball. You were just like, all right, I'm gonna beat you by any means necessary. Does that sound?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much. Obviously I was educated, and we were playing in some pretty severe conditions, so it was very windy. And par was kind of a highly appreciated score. I mean, when you're playing in 30-mile-an-hour winds every day, it's tough to make 5-footers consistently, and it's tough to hit your yardages dead nuts on, right? So you were usually, prone to high levels of creativity. Sometimes you're landing the ball 30, 40 yards short of the green, letting it run. Sometimes you're taking 3 extra clubs and letting, we're playing with a lot of ball, obviously. So it's like, no matter how crafty you are, like, I mean, that fucker is going to rise up in the air and spin, so you could be hitting a 6-iron from 150, and the ball just lands like a lob wedge, so there was just, I think, growing up in that environment on a scrappy 9-hole course, against a bunch of old retired military guys who were wanting to take your $5 out of your pocket and not even apologize to you, even though you were a kid. Like, that stuff does stuff to you. You know what I mean? Like, I would play in the Saturday and Sunday money games, and Mr. Blackmore, and it was an A, B, C, D thing. And, he put me in as an A and a B, like when I was a D. And he just said, here's, these guys are depending on you to do this. If not, the whole team's going to lose money. Get your shit together. And of course, like, I've tripped on my dick plenty of times. I mean, it was like I was they're thinking I'm going to shoot 80 and I'm shooting 90, when I first started. But that kind of negative reinforcement, if you will, that you're letting the team down. It just made me want to work harder, and it made me want to get better faster. It just, anytime you had a guy, he was telling me, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And I'm going, can I? Shit, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it. I'm skanking it all over this course right now. But, you just start to pick up on things faster. And that was kind of the deal. So the other thing he did with me was really heavy clubs. I never really asked him why, but I was playing like X1s really early on. So I had just had really stiff, heavy clubs from the word go. And I don't know if it was, we've all heard rumors that, Mo Norman and Sam Snead and Ben Hogan, we heard their clubs were like E0 swing weight, and how much truth there is to that, I don't know. I've never held Ben Hogan's 7-iron before. So, but I can promise you, because of the length of the club, they were probably pretty heavy. Certainly heavier than a D1 or a D2 swing weight. So that was the other thing he did for me, is that he put me in heavier golf clubs, and I just think I had a better sense at the top of my swing of where the club actually was in space, and that tapped into my athleticism even more, because it just made it easier for me when the wind was really blowing to not lose track of where the club head was. So I was very club head aware, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's interesting. You probably had a early awareness of the center of mass of the club, very quickly, right? I mean, you had to, right? Or you couldn't hit the ball. Like I said,
right.
You'd be coming in off the guillotine plane.
Oh, dude, I was Gilly Central, bro. I was chopping necks off like a son of a bitch. I'm so glad that he didn't bring a damn video camera to the range every day, and they were judging me off of downswing planes, because I would have just gone home and cried like every night. Just like, God, I suck ass. What the hell is going on? But no, there was nothing like that. It was like play the ball, like play the ball back and aim right. The whole Jack Nicklaus kind of aim it out to right field, hood the face and curve it that way, and then push cut it the other way. It wasn't that sophisticated, and he made it, I swear, like, and I think maybe that's an aspect of a good coach, is like, he almost made it seem like every dickhead could do this. You know what I mean? Like everyone
right.
can do this. Like, let's go. You can do this. It wasn't like you're special because I'm working with you. It was like, come on, aim it over there, hood the face, hit a draw. And it's like, okay, well, since everybody's doing it, I might as well figure out how to do this, So that was another maybe hidden genius of his deal.
You mentioned that he took you on the course a lot, right? You guys played golf together.
Yeah.
I mean, what were the playing lessons like? Did he just play with you and play against you, or did he try to like distract you, like sort of Earl Woods type stuff?
Yeah.
Or was it more him
would.
just standing behind you, coaching you as you played?
It would be follow the leader. So we had a game called follow the leader, because at that time, although he was 65 years old, like I said, he was the national left-hander champion. I mean, he was a scratch player at 65. I mean, he would shoot his age routinely. He was a very, very accomplished player. Wasn't super deep, but shot shaping and soft hands and making the ball do stuff was kind of his forte. So he would hit a shot, and then I would have to replicate the shot. So for him, a low cut, because he was a lefty, was a hot draw for me. And he goes, see this pin? You got to throw it up into the wind this way and hold it here. And so he would it was like a call shot thing, like all day long. Like, hey, we're going to hit it over the green here because you're chipping back into the wind. And there's no point in trying to get cute between the pin and the fringe, because you're not good enough to do that. So hit the fucking ball over here, and then use that little pitching wedge bump and run shot that I showed you, and let's do that. So I got comfortable really early on, like kind of realizing where the high value at points were around the golf course, that I didn't have to be a 10 out of 10 every time I made a swing. Like, I could just get the ball over here, and then whether I was a 7, 8, or 9 out of 10, I had a par putt that I'd have to make, but it was doable,
What happens if you hit a really bad shot? Like, would you give you a redo? Like, how, I'm just thinking, and I'm going to ask you a question later on sort of how you do your playing lessons now, and I'm sure it was a huge influence, but how does that look when you were working, you hit a bad shot, or, say hit one just totally the wrong direction. I mean, what happens after that? Is there a redo type of deal, like, or does he say, all right, let's go find a way to get it in the hole, or what?
Yeah, I mean, I think when he was really trying to hammer the point home, or it was a weakness in my game, it was a redo. Not just a fucking redo. It was like, you're not leaving here until it's done the right way. So it was like we sometimes hit 20 balls. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't just one; it would be 20 from one spot until
that's what I thought.
until I got it right. But for the most part, if we were competing, then yeah, he just started talking smack, like, I'm gonna whoop your ass on this hole, and blah 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 blah, and don't let this old man beat your ass again, all that kind of stuff. But if he wanted me to learn a lesson or kind of bring a new shot into my arsenal, then it was kind of like, let's capture this moment in time and really hammer it home. A thing that I think gets left for all of us coaches. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had a kid and we talk about this shot and he hits it and he pulls it off, and I'm thinking we had this like major breakthrough, right? And I'm like going, dude, hell yes, dude, this guy's never gonna do this again. Like, he's got it. And the motherfucker goes out and the next tournament he hits 3 of them, in the shit. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? What about what we did on 4? And he's already forgotten about it. And I'm
or
going,
just couldn't
how did you forget about that?
Yeah, he just couldn't transfer, right? I mean, it's like that's a big part of it,
right?
Just being able to.
So with Mr. Blackmar, things that he knew were going to facilitate the ability to score and facilitate sort of my fast track to success. It was like holding my hand to the fire, as long as he could, so that it would really burn, and leave that impression that it needed to be left.
When was the first time that you knew that, hey, I'm really making progress, I may have a chance to play in college and reach my goal? Because that was obviously I love that, when you first met him, he's like, who are you? And I'm like, well, who are you? And you're like, what are you going to do? And you're like, well, I'm going to get a college scholarship. And he's like, well, what are you talking about? I've never even played golf. But obviously that you had that in your head the whole time, right? Like, the whole time you're going through the bad times and the hard work, you're just going, I'm going to get a college scholarship because my dad said that's what I need to do.
Right. He, it was actually the 1 year after I met him, I was playing in the club championship at the naval-based club championship. And this sounds bizarre, right? But it's like, I'm this little ass kid, like skinny ass little fucking kid playing with these, ex-admirals and ex-captains and all these, heroic, guys that fighter pilots and all this other shit. And here I am out here, mixing it up with these old guys, trying to win their club championship. And these guys are all lots of scratch players, lots of 5 handicaps and 3 handicaps and stuff. And I'm playing in the gross division, and I shoot 2 over the first round, and I was playing pretty good for me at that time. And I go and shoot 1 over on the front the second round, and I got paired with Mr. Blackmar. It was a 36-hole deal. I shoot 1 over on the front, and then I make 8 birdies in a row on the back.
Oh my!
And I end up shooting 64, and I win the club championship. And that day was kind of my coming out party. So like, I had never shot under par before. So the first time I ever shot under par, I shot 64. And I made 8 birdies in a row the day I did it. And I did it with my idol, playing with my hero, you know what I mean? Like my golfing hero. So it was super emotional for him, and it was like super rad for me. And he was just like, dude, you're unbelievable. Like, I don't think, and he tried not to make a big deal of it, but
I was going to say, how did he react?
He tried not to make a big deal of it, but when I didn't, you don't know what you don't know. Like, I didn't know it was asinine to make 8 birdies in a row, like, and not get in your own way. I had no idea that was a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I really wasn't aware of that kind of stuff. So the first time I did it, it just springboarded me to this place where I just kind of looked up and I just went, well, yeah, I can do this. Like, no big deal. Like, whatever I need to do now, I can do it. I don't know why it was that simple for me, but I think it's kind of like what homeboy from Goodwill, oh shit, hold on.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. He can just play.
It's like, it's like Goodwill Hunting, right?
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like when the chick asks him how she does his how he does her homework so fast,
Right.
And he says, well, I can, some people can do this, some people can do that,
Yeah.
and he's like, well, when it comes to this shit, I can just play, and
Right.
and for me, that kind of sent it there, because I dream of nights going back, like, I even just had a couple of tournaments in these last 2 weeks. I've played in a couple of tournaments, and I would just give anything to go back to the innocence that I had when I was in high school under Mr. Blackmar's tutelage, because I don't remember thinking about one technical thought ever. I don't remember about hitting a ball right. I could have hit 3 or 4 balls right, and I don't think I ever would have been like, oh God, I gotta change my takeaway, and I gotta do this, and I gotta do that. It just didn't occur to me to do stuff like that. It was just part of the degrees of acceptability of how I was playing that day, and then I just didn't even judge the fact that I was having to chip for birdie as opposed to putt for birdie. Like in Mr. Blackmar's world, it was like, it's the same thing, dude. Like, if you can chip good, it don't fucking matter if you're putting for birdie or chipping for birdie. Chip it in. And I'm going like, but I didn't know you weren't supposed to chip it in. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just thought everyone thought like this,
Gosh,
that's
amazing.
Was the kind of rad part about Mr. Blackmore.
Well, it's just that
was the rad part.
Yeah, it's such a great attitude that obviously that it's difficult for us to get our students to have that, because they're in that mode of trying to be perfect, because that's sort of that's the age that we live in now, is with Instagram and kids trying to copy other swings, and I think that can be detrimental to, again, like playing the game, scoring, and
yeah, and I mean, even our industry of our guys, right? I mean, I love our guys, and I'm not, there's by no means anything I say tonight's talking trash against my peer group, but yeah, dude, when you put the best swing of the fucking 100 balls of the student up on Instagram, like is that really real life? You know what I mean? Like, is that really what they're doing? I mean, I'm guilty of it. Everybody's guilty of it.
Yeah, sure, I am too.
But it's like,
I'm not gonna put a bad swing up there.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's like everybody wants to put their best foot forward, and one of my best and earliest posts on Instagram was when my high school team lost regionals, and I fucking blasted every one of them. I go, this is what it looks like when you take a pressure-filled situation and you bring a casual attitude to a pressure-filled situation. This is what you get. We will not be going to state this year. It's the first time in 7 years. We all need to take a look in the mirror and see what the fuck is going on. You know what I mean? And that was kind of like, that was my way of saying, on Instagram, like, this is real life. Like, real life is talented kids and good coaches don't get it right all the time.
100%.
They fuck it up. And it happens. You don't want to glamorize it, and you don't want to talk about it, but it's just part of the gig.
Yeah, I mean, and that's
so that was Mr. Blackmore, man. It was like, and then of course, it's like bringing Phil in on the off weeks, you know what I mean? And it's like listening to the sound of a guy that hits the 6'7" massive man just compressing the piss out of a ball. It's like, it didn't matter what kid you put up against me. I'm practicing with Phil Blackmore. He just lost to Payne Stewart in a playoff at the Shell Houston Open last week. Like, who the fuck are you and your kid? Take your bag tag and shove it up your ass. Like, I don't give a shit what tour you're playing on.
Yeah.
It's like, it's one of those kind of things. Like, my kids, it's like the more AJGA bag tags some little, dipshit has on his bag, like, all of a sudden they're afraid of him. And I'm going, fuck that kid. Fuck him and his bag tags. I don't give a shit about his bag tags. He's still got to put the damn ball in the hole just like you do.
But
right. Like, for me, that was another just lucky thing, is that I got to watch unbelievable wedge shots, and I got to see 300-yard drives before it was the thing that everybody does. You know what I mean? And I got to see unbelievable ball control and compression, and now I just wasn't impressed. You know what I mean? Like, there wasn't a kid that I was playing where I was going, oh my God, he's the greatest person in the world. I'm just going, okay, well, beat your ass, no problem. And of course they beat my ass. I mean, I'm not saying I was some undefeated, golfer in high
but
school.
You had that mindset, right? And that has to be important.
I certainly did not cower down to anybody. I mean, when I qualified for the Max Fly PGA Junior, which at the time was like just below the Rolex, and it was one of the only like 4 major championship like junior golfers. I'm not sure what it's been replaced by now, but we played at Pinehurst number 2. Tiger Woods and Ted O and Michael Henderson and Robert Floyd and all these freaking unbelievable guys. Well, I qualified in the Texas section. There was only one girl and one boy from every state in the United States. You know what I mean? Actually, I take that back.
Yeah.
California and Texas did a north and a south, right? So it was Pat Perez and Tiger were the 2 guys that played out of Cali. But like I qualified in Texas. Like we already know how many good players are in Texas.
Yeah.
Like I had no business being in that golf tournament. If you want to know the honest truth is I had no business being at Pinehurst, fucking 6,800 yards with my skank fade shooting 83 every other round, right? But it's like I did, I mean, I went through these guys like a buzz saw, and I grabbed my spot because I didn't know any better.
Yeah, and you had that swag, right? I mean, like you said, you kind of had that chip on your shoulder. I call it taking up space, right? So how do you teach that to a kid? I mean, what is it? Just something that's innate, tough. Right? I mean, that's what I'm kind of getting like with my kids and even my son. I'm like, he laughs at me like taking up space. I'm like, dude, you gotta. I don't care where your game's at. You got to believe you're going to win. You got to believe you're the best. Like, how do you instill that in a junior golfer?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I think no matter how we choose to voice this tonight, it's going to come across sounding like the kids of today are shit and we're so much tougher and
right.
blah, 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 all this other shit. And that's not where I'm going, but unfortunately that's where I'm going. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
There's something about like I tell my parents at my parent meetings all the time. Like I only find you guys guilty of one crime. The crime is that you love your child so much that you're willing to take all the pain away, like all of it. And what you don't realize is that a lot of the pain that you felt and that your parents felt and that your grandparents felt is what shaped them to be the person that they are. And when you remove everything, every bit of suffering, every bit of struggling, and you start making excuses or you blame people or you do fucking whatever the dipshit AJJ kid wants to do these days, it lessens their ability to have swag, because the swag comes from the struggle and the swag comes from nobody helped me with shit. Like, I'm the one that sat on this putting green and got it figured out. Yeah, the guru said, grip it like this, showed me a couple of things, but the guru's ass is at home having a glass of wine. I'm the one on the green right now.
That's right.
Doing my shit.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, but when the kid doesn't really want to grind, and then the parent wants to make an excuse for the kid after he shoots 82 when
and
he should have shot
they blame 72. The guru.
Oh yeah, when they blame the guru or CT or whoever.
Yeah.
It just it ruins it for the kid, because the kid's confidence is fake. Everything about it is fake. So what I try to do is just implore the parents to allow them to, as much as it's going to hurt, just allow them to make these mistakes, allow them to feel some pain, allow them to have bloody hands, allow them to miss dinner, allow them to, whatever it is. And through that, we're hoping that they develop some grit and they develop some sense of pride. You know what I mean? Like, I'll never forget that, like in Earl Woods, dude, motherfucker, man, God bless him.
Yeah.
It's like after that 97 Masters, I think it was like a Titleist commercial or some bullshit. Who were paying him millions of dollars before he was even a pro. But anyways, it was like, Earl, your kid just won the Masters. What are you feeling? He stops and raises his chin up. He goes, pride.
Yeah.
Remember when he said that? Like,
yeah.
It was like,
oh yeah,
I'm just proud, dude. Like it's just about pride for me. Like, the kid shot 40 on the front nine and then
ran away with the golf tournament. You know, so it's like that. All of Tiger Woods' stuff, like I wish we could put it on like a pie chart, you know, as opposed to just saying that, oh my God, it was this swing coach's, it was Haney's swing. No, it was Butch's swing. No, fuck that.
Yeah.
It was the fact that wherever this dude hit it, he wasn't going to make a bogey. And anytime he had a chance to make birdie, he putted better than anybody, and he made birdies. So it's like he won with like 5-6 different golf swings. You know what I mean? Like,
it didn't
has
matter.
nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
It didn't matter.
Yeah,
you
it was
know?
what
And
was
it's like,
inside of that dude. I mean, he's got a whole different anatomy than everybody else, and
right.
Earl doesn't probably get enough credit because I mean I know there's a lot of negatives that happened with him and then coming up, but I tell you what, he did a lot right.
Well, hell yeah. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And it's like already, you know, everyone's asking me, oh, you know, because I just had, you know, my son's getting ready to be 2 years old. Hard to believe, next month. No, I'm sorry. This month, the 17th, so in a couple of weeks. But it's like everyone's saying, oh, what does he have a golf club in his hand? And does he have this in his hand? And are you going to be that parent? I'm like, you know, like, God, I hope not. You know, it's like I'm going to try my best not to be. I certainly know what not to do. I can promise you that, you know, but it's like, for me, I just, if I can make him a solid person, then the golf takes care of itself, because what I don't think these kids understand, and I don't know how many golf coaches are pushing it, is like, a lot of these kids don't even know what they signed up for. Like, they think they signed up to fucking sashay out onto the fucking greens and have the clouds part and the wind drop and every pin in the middle of the green and every number dead nuts perfect. And it's like, dude, fuck you. Like, you act like the course isn't allowed, you know, like you act like the course isn't allowed to throw punches at you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're the only one that's allowed to throw punches. And it's like, if you realize, until you develop an immense amount of skill and ability, you're going to get kicked in the dick more than you ever kick the course in the dick. Like, that's how it's going to work. And if you don't like the way that feels, well, then get better. Quit blaming people and quit looking for outs. Like,
bad lies, if you don't have bad breaks.
Yeah, you know,
I mean, I
like,
hear that
that's
all the
what
time.
the course does, you know? The course gets a gust of wind and it comes up in the bunker. And then you hit a hard spot on the green, it bounces to the back fringe, or it lands in the fairway and kicks left behind a tree. Like, dude, like, it's just part of the gig, you know? And it's like, if you can instill in them at a young age that it's not going to be fair, it's not always going to make sense, but their job is effort. You know, their job is to give 100% effort and take whatever ability they have. I don't care if it's, you know, shit. You know, put the best foot forward that you can. And that's where Mr. Blackmar, you know, I owe him a debt of gratitude, because a lot of it came from my dad too, because it was a proud guy and he taught me how to be a proud young man. But it was also Mr. Blackmar just not letting me get caught up in the bullshit that a lot of kids try to get caught up into. Yeah.
So what do you see if we had to build the perfect junior golfer that was going to play college golf and have a chance? I mean, what are the characteristics that you've seen, and is there any, let's see, what's the best way to phrase it? Is there any indicators that you've seen at a young age to say that kid's got it, or that kid's got a chance to play? I mean, I know it's a tough question.
Yeah.
I ask myself that all the time when I see kids for the first time. I'm like, trying to evaluate them, going, does this kid have it? You know, and I sometimes I've been wrong, and then sometimes I've been like, he's got a lot more potential than he realizes. And it's like, how do you bring that out of him? But what do you, is there anything that you see? Because I know you've put a lot of kids into college like I have.
Right. You know, I think for me, like, again, it starts kind of the foundation for me is the desire and the consistency of the work ethic, right? So like the desire and the consistency, I know they've got a fighting chance straight away.
When they want to practice without being told, or when they want to
correct.
They want to do it without the parents trying to push them. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yeah, correct. And the kind of kid where if I show him a bunker shot on Saturday, he's got it by the next Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not giving him the fucking same bunker lesson 3 months later.
Because he's worked at it.
I'll get a text message. Yeah, well, I'll get a text message Wednesday. Hey, here's a video. Am I doing it right? And I'll be like, no, you're still not doing it right. Do this and this. And I'll get a video Friday. And then when I see him on Saturday for his next lesson, he will have mastered it. He will have, I mean, not mastered it, but he will have become very proficient at
show improvement.
A chunk and run 9-iron, right? Like
Sure.
I make all my junior players learn how to hit a 9-iron out of a bunker. Again, it was the Sevi, Mr. Blackmar thing.
Yeah.
So we always start with 9-irons. I always start with 9-irons out of bunkers. It gets the handle low. I show them how to grip it, and I get them to carve, right? It has a lot of bounce on it, so they can hit, like they can spin it. It also makes their eyes open that they can actually put backspin with a 9-iron. They don't think they can.
Mm-hmm.
But then also if they need to hit a little behind it and run it across the green 30 feet, it becomes quite an easy thing to do. So like there are some kids where if I show them the 9-iron chunk, we call it 9-iron chunk and run. If I show them the 9-iron chunk and run, dude, if you got it in a week, you're already in the right track. Like if you got it in 3 months, you're dog shit. Like it's taken way too long. But yeah, I would say first of all, it's the desire and the consistency of the work ethic, and then second of all, it's like the type of questions they ask tells me a lot about the kid that I'm dealing with.
100%. What are some bad questions you get? I could share some with you too that just drive you nuts.
Oh God.
You think of any?
Well, I'll get like a bad question would be like, why can't I hit driver on this hole? And I'll be like, you can. Go ahead.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, you said not to. I go, well, I said not to because I already know what your scatter pattern is. So like you can't hit driver on a hole like this until you show me that you can hit the ball in a tighter pattern, right? And then I'll let you go ahead and hit driver. But you're just begging for a double if you hit driver on this hole. But like they see other people hitting driver and they get insecure, right? And they don't realize that hitting, 3-iron, 7-iron to the front fringe and 2-putting from 40 feet is just as good as the dipshit they're playing with all the bag tags that hits driver 9-iron, to 25 feet in 2-putts. Like if anything, they don't even get a hard on, like for beating them in that way, which I think is a problem. But like, I don't know, like another question would be like, do I have to put a line on my ball? Like, I don't know. Well, Tiger puts a line on his ball.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, Dustin Johnson doesn't put a line on his ball, but like whatever, it's like
yeah,
like that.
Right.
What about you?
The one that gets me, like, I get this a lot with kids that they're just starting to play tournament golf, and they think they're pretty good because they can shoot maybe mid to low 70s with their dad or with their friends.
Right.
And they text you after their first couple tournaments and they're like, why is it that I shoot 82 in tournaments and I can shoot 73 when I go play at my home course?
Right.
How do you,
right.
And you can't, how do you even answer that nicely?
Yeah, of course.
It's
right,
different, right? It's like you're just not ready. You haven't got the experience yet. But it's almost like they want you to give them an answer like, well, it's because of this. I mean, like, no, it's because you haven't tested yet. You haven't played enough tournaments. Like it's different. It's harder. You got to put everything out. There's pressure.
Yep.
Do you ever get that one?
No, you're right. I mean, oh yeah.
I mean, that just drives me nuts.
And I mean, the harder part is like when you get it from the dad, right?
Oh,
or
yeah.
The
well,
parent,
that's
right?
a bigger problem. Yeah. Expectations
like,
are way out of whack.
Like, oh yeah, like, how do you tell, a lot of times, at least, again, for me, I truly feel like I get a little bit of a get out of jail free card because my game carries a lot of weight with the kids that I teach, because I still don't have, as a matter of fact, one of my kids today, I played 9 holes with him. He shot 7 under on the back 9, and waxed me. I shot 2 under and he throttled me. Okay. That's the first time I've been bitch slapped by a kid in my academy ever. Right. So I'm going to go on record and give him props, Mr. Griffin Cooper.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, and he it could have you never could have, would have, should have, but the dude was on fire.
That's great.
Played unbelievable, and then had to go to class. Couldn't play the back. Might have broke the damn course record at the course. I don't even know, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, my game carries so much weight that I can tell a kid to his face, bro, you don't got it. Like, I just whipped your ass with 4 clubs. You have your whole bag. Like you don't got it, dude. Okay, like let's not even go there right now. Like, calm the fuck down. Let's talk about this and let's figure out how we can shave off. What's a win? Like, I think that's the thing. Like, what's a win for this person? Like what is a win for them? I think that was another, from a psychological standpoint, that's something that I so deeply want for the parent-child relationship, is that if they just knew what a win was for them as a team, their family, and a win could be 9 pars, and hope to God he doesn't double bogey every other hole.
Right.
But, if it's a kid that's been playing golf for a year and he's going in his first big-time tournament, well, shit, if he pars half the holes from 6,500 yards in a real tournament and he's never seen the course before, well, shit, that's pretty damn good.
Sure.
It's pretty good. So I really think that our expectations and everything else are so out of whack, but the kid that asks the best questions, the kid that has the right support system, the kid that's willing to get up and work for it every day, and then the kid, in my opinion, who's always looking for an edge, right? So like I've got a couple of kids that they're just in love with the driver they've had for like 3 years, right? They could easily be hitting the ball 20 yards farther with a different club. I can't prove that the faces are caved in, but I know they're flat. I know the faces aren't worth a shit. Yeah. And the technology's gotten better, right? And the golf ball has gotten better and everything's gotten better. So it's like a kid that's coming up to you going, hey man, what do you think about, fitting me for a driver? Can you prove to me, can I get an extra 20 yards with this club? Or a kid that's willing to work on a short game shot to not just be a one trick pony, you know what I mean? And only have a 60 wide open, do or die kind of short game shot if he's got other shots in his bag. I think those are the kids that make it, man. They just, and when they're done, like when they're done playing, like you don't have to ask where they're at. Like whatever part of the game they didn't do well, they'll be practicing it.
Yeah.
Before they go eat or before they go anywhere else. They're not texting on their phone and dicking around. You know what I mean? Like if they played the par 3s like shit, you'll see them hitting shots on the range that simulate the par 3s. And I don't know, man. I don't think it's a complicated formula. Is there luck involved? Sure. Is there timing involved? Do you have to play good at the right time in a lot of these tournaments? Yeah. And is junior golf scoreboard and polo rankings and the whole college system, is it a total fucking stupid ass waste of time? I don't know. Maybe, but I can tell you there are plenty of kids that have a high polo ranking that you put them in a pressure-filled situation, their booty hole is going to clinch up so fast, It's not even funny. And you got some little kid from some scrappy driving range probably who would smoke their ass if he had the opportunity to, but he just doesn't have the exposure to all the tournaments. And it's sad. It's sad we live in this generation where, people with advantages get those advantages. You know what I mean? Like there's just, like none of these college coaches are going to come watch a high school match. They don't could give 2 shits about what that kid shoots in a high school match.
I know that is a shame.
And that's sad because there's some good players, right? But there's not a lot of kids that can afford to get on an airplane and spend $1,500 on a weekend going to play golf in Dallas, Texas, just to finish tied for 22nd and get his 100 fucking ranking points, and look good on paper when, all he really did was shoot 78, 3 days in a row. So I think there needs to be some reworking of that, because I think we're leaving a lot of good kids on the, on the sidelines that could actually play a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt. So talk to me a little bit about your playing lessons, because I think this is something that, since we've talked from earlier this year, it's inspired me to do more playing lessons, which I actually did 3 today. You'd be super proud of me. Yeah, how about that? Back to back to back. especially with my kids. I'm like trying to get them out.
I can see that
on the court.
That little red face.
Oh yeah, I'm fried, dude. Yeah, we actually had a sunny day here in Charlotte. But I think there's, I've done playing lessons multiple ways. You can just be coaching, sort of caddy coach, as I would say, as you're like walking around and, asking questions and kind of doing your decade and doing your course management and kind of digging into the routine and whatnot. But also, I feel like it's advantageous, especially if you're a decent player, to actually play. It sounds like what you do a little bit is like go play with them. And I've started doing that more now with my long-term coaching programs because, I don't feel like I've got to be on top of them actually giving them information. But I think there's a lot that they can learn from just watching you and observing, and then they start to ask questions. So take me through like a typical playing lesson with you.
So like depending on what I, instinctually as coaches, I think we kind of know what that player needs. So it's like one of the biggest things I've learned from you and the podcast is this whole like coaching versus teaching thing. If I've got a kid leaving for a tournament and I really want their confidence to be in the right place, I'm not going to take them out there and just dog every decision they make. I'm going to take them out there and then just like caddy for them and hype them up in a way that shows them, dude, look how gettable this course is with your game right now. In reality, what that kid probably doesn't know is that it's the decision I'm making with their game that's allowing them to be a 7 or 8 out of 10 and still come out smelling like a rose. Whereas they're picking 10 out of 10 shots all the time. I'm picking 7 or 8 out of 10 shots, and we've got low stress pars, with the occasional birdie tap in, right? So if they're leaving for a tournament, I do this. If I need to take them down a few pegs because they're coming in the warehouse talking trash and doing their thing, then, I'll either take them on the course myself and bitch slap them around, or I will play their ball against, I'll let them play their ball, and then I'll make them play a ball the way I want to. And I have a little bit of advantage. Obviously, I'm not a douche, right? I mean, if the kid tries to go for a back left pin and pulls it short side, I'm not going to tell him to like, hit a fade into the right side of the green. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to just beat him that way, but I'll just beat him with better choices, and then we'll go over it after we're done and go, okay, dude. And I'll keep a running tally. So every single time our choices don't align, that's a check mark. And then how many check marks do we have? It could be the way a putt is read. It could be the club choice in the bunker. It could be approach shot, ball flight, finish point. Anytime, we don't agree on something, I hash it out. Like I check mark it off, and then we go back over it after we're done. Like I don't try to bust their balls right then and there. We'll just talk about it later and say, this is where I think you could have got better.
So let me get this straight. So you have them play the shot, you let them make the decision, play the shot, and then you play the shot the way you would play it and actually hit the shot?
No.
I'll
walk them through. I'll say, like, let's just say it's a back left pin and they hit, and I wanted them from the get-go. Let's say it was like 175.
Right.
And of course, because they're kids and they think they're fucking good, they think they're going to fly at 174 and a half, and land it right on the pin, where I'm like looking to them like, I know this player, so I'm going, okay, well, if I give him 8 and tell him to smoke it, even if he tugs it, he'll get it to like 170, but he's probably going to hit it like 165 and he'll have like a 30-footer from like underneath, right? So I'm already thinking 8, and he pulls 7, right? So I'll let him hit the 7-iron and draw it and tug it and go over or go left, right? And then I'll say, look, I wouldn't have done that, right? I was like, I would have had you hit the 8. Why don't you hit the 8, play it a little back in the stance, trap it, and see if you can draw one and actually get it pin high. And that'll make him swing a little harder, but he'll get his pivot going and the face will be more stable, and he'll usually he or she will usually hit a better shot. And I'll show them that from 175 out, dude, like, it's okay to be 168. Like, you don't have to be dead nuts on it, every single time.
You do that right after
in the middle of the fairway.
You do that right after
right
that.
After.
Okay, gotcha. I didn't know if you were saying you waited till after the round, But you do both,
No,
right?
but I keep a running tally of every single time we're not in agreement.
Gotcha.
And then that to me is where their golf IQ is resting. So if I'm like this kid Griffin that I just played with, chances are, because I was leaving him alone, one, because he was kicking the shit out of me. He didn't really need my help. But I was leaving him alone because it's kind of like a guy throwing a no-hitter, right? You don't really want to start talking shit about what he's doing, right? I was just kind of a fan, watching what he was doing. But I would guarantee you that our choices would have aligned, right? We might have had 2 or 3 choices on the day that weren't in alignment.
Gotcha.
And if we're there, then we're fine, right? But if I play 9 holes with someone and we're 15, 20, 30 shots, half of the shots are not aligning, I know we've got a problem.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I do.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
The other thing I do is worst ball. I think it's the
worst ball scramble.
I think it's love
that game.
It's just I just haven't played 2 balls off every tee. Like again, if I'm trying to bring a player down to reality, I just think it takes an immense amount of ability to shoot even par worst ball for 9 holes, right?
Absolutely.
It's a very, very challenging game, and it exposes your ability to replicate. It exposes your ability to be consistent, and it makes it very difficult to make birdies. It makes you appreciate par, and that's something that I think goes unnoticed with these flashy young players that, again, have this weird thing because they've shot 1 under with their daddy on Sunday afternoon that they think they're fucking tour bound and stuff. And it's just my way of saying, well, dude, you just shot 42 because you couldn't make back-to-back 5-foot putts in a row. You couldn't hit back-to-back 8 irons on a par 3. You couldn't hit back-to-back 3 woods from 245 or 250. That you shouldn't have been hitting anyway. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a real in your face. It's a real in your face game where the coach can almost just sit back and go, "Yeah, I don't have to say shit. You pretty much are seeing what you're doing now." So between that kind of stuff, I think that's because I've kind of have 3 ways of doing it, right? I've got the pump it up, dude, you got this. Look how good you are. Mostly because I'm caddying and picking shots.
Right.
Then I've got the checklist part where are we picking the same shots? If not, what are we doing differently? And then hold their hand to the fire, right then and there. I wouldn't hit driver. I would hit 2 iron. I wouldn't have hit 3 wood on this par 5. I would have hit a punch 4 iron down the left side, whatever it may be. And then the last one is worst ball. You're fucked. Good luck.
Yeah.
So, well, you'll be able to see what you do.
I love it. Yeah, I love the story in the last podcast about when you got into teaching and you started working with that kid and you took him from 100 to winning the state junior in like a year. And you mentioned that you raised his golf IQ. I mean, do you remember some of the specifics about that? Because I didn't really know that much about technique or what.
Right.
But you just allowed him to see through the vision of a good player, right? I mean, talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was like, because he was my only student, and we were together every day. I mean, shit, it was like, I just started playing golf with him, every single day. And then it was like, why'd you do that? Do this. Don't do that. Do this, this putt, look at the slope in this green and look at the way this grass is laying down. Like, can't you see the teeth of this grass right here? And he's like, yeah. I go, can you see how that's fucking moving this way? That's why your putt's so fast. I go, you can't hit this thing for like a flat 10-footer. You got to hit this thing for like a 6-footer. And it was like making him journal. He had a weekly journal that he had to turn in. Like, so we would journal these entries and then he would write, as to how he was improving and where he made his mistakes. And then we would go back out. One of the coolest things is going back out the next day. It's like hindsight's 2020. People always say that shit all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, well, one of the things we had fun doing was we'd go play 18 holes and then he would shoot, let's say 85. Right. And then we would talk about it. And then we dummied it down to, okay, if you would have done this, and this could have been like 75, like pretty easily. And he's kind of going like, holy shit, it could have been a 75. Now, we both know there's a lot of shit that goes into a 10-stroke differential on a round of golf, right?
Right.
But then I took him out the next day and I made him go back to the same place and then relive that moment in the way we described.
Interesting. That's really good.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
that's great.
So then all of a sudden he shot 79 the next day, right? And he didn't shoot 85. Like, he didn't shoot 75. I'm not going to bullshit the podcasters around and go, yeah, I'm fucking Jesus of golf, and it's easy like that. Like, he didn't shoot 75, but he shot 79.
No, but he's sort of almost replaying that in his mind, and now he's like copying and basically replacing the error with a better decision, a better shot.
Yep. So if it was on a par 3, and let's say he had a 20-footer above the pin that he wasn't analyzing how above the pin he was, and he 3-putted it, right? I took him right back to the 20-footer, right? And I said, now what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to hit it for 15 feet instead of 20 feet, and I'm going to play this much break. And then boom. And then he lags it down to an inch, right? He taps it, and I go, nice par. That's how you do it. Like, whenever you're in this position, this is how this is going to go. And so I started letting him walk into a reality that was his. It was his reality. It wasn't. It was my knowledge that was allowing this reality to be like exponentially, like when you're at the fucking airport and you got the choice to walk, or you could walk on that like flat escalator where you just start flying by people.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that? Like, there's one in Phoenix, right? Like, where it's in Denver too, where it's like a big ass escalator, but it's flat, and you can start walking, but you walk really fast when you're on it. So you go twice as fast as someone who's just walking on regular, carpet.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he was doing, right? So it was like he was just walking way faster on one of those escalators, because it wasn't like it might happen if he was to do this. It was like, we're going back tomorrow and you're going to fucking do this. You know what I mean? And then he would do it, and he was like, oh, okay, 79. That's easy. I just broke 80 for the first time. It's my first time breaking 80. I go, yeah, you could have broke 80 a long time ago if you didn't, play golf like a dipshit. So we just started doing that kind of stuff. And that's where, I wish I could do it with every kid. I really do.
If you had that much time, right? That was a big part of it, obviously.
Yeah. And all of us, struggle with that part of it.
Oh, hey, what's up, dude? Yeah. Hey, what's up?
Hey, man.
Hey.
Yeah, thanks. I'm talking. Bye.
Your son just made an appearance. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. CT, baby CT in the house.
Here it is.
So, you want this? Okay, go mama. Now that I've got I just brought on a couple of assistants, it's almost like I would have all of my good players chart, where they hit it, what they were thinking, what they did. And then if I could have it my way and golf courses were closed just for us, I would have as many of them take them back and do this like I did for that kid, because although it was an amazing gift I gave to that kid, it's just, we can't do that for all of our kids, but we should be trying to.
Sure.
We should be trying to help them as much as we can.
Yeah.
Because that's
it's kind of like
that's where it's at.
Yeah, Billy Casper taking you back out after your round with him and going, let me show you what I would have done and how you should have played
100%.
The shot, right? I mean, it's amazing how we just sort of gather this information from our mentors and other people, and you don't realize it until you're like, okay, I'm imparting this to somebody else now. And sometimes you don't even remember where you get it, right? It's just like, all right, this is what I've learned along the way, and then this is what I'm going to share with you.
Totally. And I just think that's where I think we're underselling as a group of golf coaches. I think we're just underselling that they're going to do the right thing at the right time for their game and their abilities and their current skill set. We're underrating that, you know what I mean? Across the board, from mini tour players all the way down to 10-year-olds. You know what I mean? Like there was a reason that the average tour winner was like 37 years old not that long ago. Now it's 27 years old. It's like a 10-year difference,
younger.
right?
Yep.
But it's like before, I would say from 85 to 2005, the average tour winner was 36, 37 years old. It's because you got to do a lot of stupid fucking shit before you learn not to do stupid shit.
A lot of failures before you get success.
Yeah, there's just a lot of things that go into becoming a great course manager. You know what I mean? And the ability to shoot a number that you probably didn't deserve to shoot, that takes a ton of failure to be able to get to that place. And we live in this generation now, here we go again talking shit, but we live in this generation now where they're not, the failure seems like real failure. You know what I mean? The failure seems like they're doing something wrong.
Yeah, and it's the end of the world, right? Kid has a bad round and he's like, oh my God, I've lost my swing, I can't play. I mean, yeah, it's like, how do you get that kid to understand that this is part of the process?
Right.
I know you can't.
I almost think like the other thing I did one time, and I'm just trying to bring home as many, because I've even had some of your boys that follow your podcast reach out to me independently and be like, dude, whenever you're in this side of town, you got to come play with my kids and tell them they're fucking idiots and so it's like, but like the other thing I did was like at my home course, Arrow Creek, we have 36 holes and they're two pretty distinctly different courses. And one's called the challenge course, and it's kind of built up into the mountain, and it's about 7,500 yards, but it is at elevation, right? So it's not like crazy deep sauce, but it's pretty windy, and the whole front nine kind of plays into the wind, and then the whole back nine plays kind of downwind, right? I regularly shoot, when I was playing all the time, between 65 and 70, and I would hit like 3 drivers a day, right? And all my like stud muffin, high school, college guys, they're spraying driver all over the place. They're trying to mash it, and then consequently making 3 doubles, right? But like one day I just got so pissed off, I had them all get carts, and then I had them all follow me around the course, and I just talked out every single shot I hit for the whole day. I'm hitting 4-iron here. I'm aiming here. It's not going to get to the pin, and I don't give a shit that it's not going to get to the pin, because I'm going to take my next shot, and then I'm going to hit it here. And when every single one of those kids, after it was over, was like, dude, I was so pissed that you made me, because you can imagine a bunch of high school kids, no clubs with a notepad, sitting in a cart, having to just watch this shit because they think they're ballers, and they're having to watch this thing transpire, and none of them think that it's real. And I would have beat every single one of them by 5 to 10 shots. And playing, like, I hate to say it, but Scott Fawcett quasi defensive golf, I'm still coming out smelling like a rose. It's like I shot a low stress 68, and I think I went for like 4 pins, and I think I hit 3 drivers. You know what I mean? Whereas like for them to shoot 68, they would have fucking had a career. They would have had to have the round of their life. You know what I mean? And meanwhile, I'm already telling them, it's like you're predicting the future before it's going to happen. And every single one of them after it was over was like, dude, I was so pissed when you made me do this, but I have to tell you, that was the raddest shit I've ever seen in like my whole life. Like that was badass. Like how you just did that was rad. And I don't know if it, for the other instructors out there that, either never got to that level of playing or don't have the time to have skills of that nature, like they know how to play. Like a lot of them know how to play golf. They know what's going on.
Yeah.
Just take all the kids out there, and have them drop balls in the places that they're supposed to hit, and make them hit it in the place that you're supposed to hit it, and then make them see how par materializes from places that they didn't even know were on the golf course. And that, my friend, is where I think myself and everybody else is missing the boat, like in terms of really creating swag, because that's the thing. Like I'll never forget caddying for one of my kids. Actually, this kid 5 years ago, I caddied for him, Griffin, in a junior tournament. The ball's sitting down. He's 220 in the rough, par 5, pins like 10 on front. He's got this cake walk bunker shot, and I'm wanting him to tumble a 5-iron from 210 out of this rough into this bunker. right, on this par 5 and 2. And he looked at me. I go, hit in that bunker. Because there's no way he's going to be able to stop it on the green. You know,
Sure.
He couldn't get it up high enough. And I want him to knuckle squeeze it out of this rough and then hit in the bunker, splash the bunker shot to, 6 feet if you don't hit it good? You know what I mean? And then try to make birdie. He looked at me like I had 3 heads. He says, you want me to hit it in a hazard? I go, what did you just say? And right there, as much as I wanted to just kick him in the dick as hard as I could and hit the shot myself, I realized he's not on my level, dude. Like, this kid's not on my level. He thinks I'm asking him to do something bad. This dipshit wants to lay back to 80 yards because he read in Golf Digest that that's his optimum yardage for his three-quarter shot.
I
yeah,
hate
well,
that.
how many 80-yard wedges you know? It's like,
Yeah.
it's so dumb.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I'll give a hacker, 10 bunker shots with no lip against 10 80-yard wedges any day of the week.
Yeah.
And
Ask Mark Brody what he thinks about that. Or Fawcett.
Right? So, but when I realized that he wasn't on my level, and we're in the middle of a tournament, well, now's not the time, right?
Yeah.
So here I am, going, well, what do you think? Well, I want to hit 8-iron. I'm like, God, you freaking Gina. I was like, okay, yeah, let's hit 8-iron, and then we'll hit 56, and you'll fucking dog that one, and you'll spin it back into the bunker, and we'll make bogey anyway. Great, awesome. But it's that kind of shit where until we teach kids how to gain leverage against the course through different acquisition of skills, such as, why do you practice bunker shots? You practice bunker shots in case you tug one on a par 3? No, dick. A tour player's gunning for a bunker anytime they can get in one,
right,
if it means that they would rather be there than the rough greenside.
100%.
So it's like the only time a tour player is cringing is when his ball is rising into the wind and it's with a lofted club and it's a front bunker on a front pin. That's when he's literally going, oh, fuck, don't bury. Please, God, don't bury.
Give me 1 yard.
He's like, yeah, otherwise he's going, shit, I'll hit that bunker shot any day of the week.
That was crazy.
So,
yeah.
I don't know, man.
I had a guy.
I think that's where we're at.
I had a guy, yeah, for sure, because it was funny. The 3 lessons I had today on the course, I had a lot of that because I was talking my way through it. And that's what I like is, when I'm playing, they're like, engaged, right? They're like, okay, what are you thinking here? I'm like, all right, I'm gonna hit it here, here, and here. They're like, why? I'm like, because this is what's gonna happen. And one of my guys, he's a decent player. He's like an 8, and he hits it, and he hits it in a bunker. And I'm like, oh, it's perfect. He goes, what do you mean? I'm like, I can hold that. He goes, what are you thinking about? I'm like, I'm thinking about holding this. He goes, are you kidding me? I'm like, no, it's a simple bunker shot. He goes, I'm thinking about just getting it out. I'm like, well, that's the difference, right? So that's why there's where we got to get better. I'm like, that's how good players think. I'm like, that's a simple bunker shot, and that was a great miss. And that's why I told you to aim. Right. That's why I told you this decade number was here, because if that's where you end up, you're fine. So it's like, that's what makes them better.
Totally, and that's what like Foley. It's like, I think of all he's such a cool dude. I mean, I have to totally. I probably have a weird man crush on him for some reason. I just do. But it's like, I'm just not even gonna hide it anymore. Fuck it. I'm out.
It's
out
out.
Of the closet.
You are out.
But it's like if I could spend a weekend or a day with someone, I would want it to be him. I just would. The philosophy side, the tour player side, the fact that I'd want him to fix some shit at my swing side, like all kinds of stuff. I would want that, but listening to what he said, there was so many like slang lingo tour shit that he brought to the table in your guys' talk that if you're not in that world, you probably would have missed on some of his stuff.
Yeah.
But I remember him talking about this very thing where he says, when I go to work with my juniors, it's like they're so good and they think they hit it far and they think they hit a certain number and they don't. And then they realize that, they got 3/4 of a shot better by learning how to hit a short side bunker shot. And then so that's where I'm getting him a gain, you know what I mean? Because when we're dealing with our good players, like your son and like a lot of my guys, like Motherway and these other guys, are we really gonna are we going to shallow their downswing an extra ½ inch, and that's going to be the fucking home run that's going to get them, shooting under par? It's all horseshit. That don't matter, dude. That ain't the thing. The thing is, where can you find them a gain if it's a half a shot here, quarter shot there, one shot here, you know what I mean? Like, where can you find that for them? And most of it is in short game creativity.
Yep.
Conversions inside 10 feet putting, and I would say like golf IQ. Like, what clubs, what are you fucking doing right now? Like, what are you thinking about doing? Do you see how this ball is sitting in this grass? Did you watch how the other slap dick you were playing with, did you watch his ball just bounce four times before it even tried to stop? And you're telling me that you're going to hoist this thing up there and the laws of, physics don't apply to you. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
that kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's like, until we teach them, like, that craftiness, it's like the girl I played with, one of my elite junior girls today, with her dad and everything else. And I was, talking smack to her dad, trying to beat his ass. But she gets on this par 5 and she's my longest girl hitter, and her stock drive, her stock apex, she likes to hit hot runners, right? So her stock apex is probably 65, 70 feet.
Right.
And she
Keeps it kinda low.
but she bombs it. She swings like 98 miles an hour for a chick. It's pretty fast. And she hits it probably 270 on the run, right? Probably flies like 230 and gets 40 yards a run, right? Well, we get on this par 5 and it's 20 mile an hour down fan, and she hits this dick high bullet that goes like 50 feet in the air, right? And I yanked her by the ponytail, I brought her back. I go, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "What?" I go, "Why didn't you hoist that thing up into the clouds and let this Reno 5,000 feet thin air freaking kick in? And you could have got an extra 20 just off the environment alone. You could have got an extra 20 yards. Not even your talent or your driver fitting or your swing speed. Just throw the son of a bitch up in the air and you would have got rewarded." But they're not into it like that. Like, they're not.
Well,
into
can
it.
she do
You know what I'm
that
saying?
though?
Like,
Did
she's
she?
not totally.
Does she have that? Does she have that shot?
No, yeah, she
though?
did it. She does.
Okay.
She does.
Yeah.
This one does.
Yeah.
There are some that don't, right? There
Right.
are
That's
some
what I
that
mean.
don't.
Like, sometimes you
But,
can tell them to do something, but they don't have the skill, or you just haven't acquired that or taught them that shot.
Most
or
of my
whatever.
good players are much more in tune with the club face than they are swing theory, because that's where I feel like my strengths are. So like they understand how to deliver more loft and how to play with the face a little bit, because that's what we do all the time. But yeah, it's just that thing about, like, I'll have and I'm sure you've pulled your hair out 1,000 times, just like every other coach is, and they're all going to fucking laugh at this. We've got one of our kids with his back turned to his competitor, taking practice putting strokes on the fucking fringe while somebody's putting within 6 inches of his line, and he's not even watching.
Yep.
Right? Like, you'd never in a million years see a tour player do that.
No.
Because they're
always observing.
There's something about money, bro. Like, fuck pride. Like, when you're playing for a trophy versus playing for cash, right? Baby needs a new pair of shoes and shit.
Yeah.
Like it don't matter, dude. Like, they're not gonna let, I always say they're like an octopus with 8 tentacles. Like, they have things going at all times. Like, where's the wind? What did that player's ball do? How did the sound of that shot come off? Like, I'm always telling players all the time, like, I don't want you to fall in love with anybody's swing, but if you play golf every day, you know what a good shot sounds like.
Yeah.
You know it. You can hear what a compressed ball sounds like off the club face. If you hear that sound and you're on a par 3, you know that person did his job. So you take a peek in that fucking bag with all those bag tags on it. Take a little peek in there. Did he hit an 8? Okay. What did it do? Well, it bounced 4 times and went on the back fringe. Well, how do you hit the ball compared to him? You guys have measured dicks already. Already know who the hell who's who in this group. If you're longer or shorter or whatever, and then make your choice accordingly, right? But a lot of these kids just like, oh, well, Jason and I played a practice round 3 days ago, and I've got on my notes it's a 7. Well, yeah. What about this cold front that just blew in, dipshit? It's not a 7 anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It might be a 4. It might be a 4 iron now. It might be a 9 iron. You know what I mean?
Common sense.
You never know. It's just stupid shit like that. It drives me up the wall.
Unbelievable.
And it makes me question. I have a term that says, like, I look at my kids all the time. I go, bro, you're not greedy enough. You're just not fucking greedy enough, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I'm greedy, dude. Like, if I can get a read, I'll get a read.
Yeah.
If I get a club pull, I'll get a club pull. You know what I mean? Like I'm greedy, man. I just want to beat your ass. So it's like, if I'm gonna get some kind of a, educational piece out of what's going to happen before I hit, I'm all in. But you motherfuckers act like, you guys are above that. Like, you're so damn good that you don't need to do that. Like, fuck you. Like, you're not even close to that good. I was like, shit, Tiger will get a read if he can get one. So it's like, it don't matter. But that's where we are with kids. They just, because they've never kicked or fought or scratched for hardly anything, why should they do it with this? So if the red carpet rolls out and their guru or their Trevino Golf Institute swing is on point that day and they get all their fucking numbers right, yeah, they'll shoot 69 or 70. Yay for us. And everybody over celebrates it, right? We over celebrate the shit out of it. For them, I hate to say this, doing their job. It's your fucking job. You don't work at McDonald's or Home Depot like other high school kids that are trying to pay their car insurance and everything else. You go to fucking Jamba Juice and the gym at Carmel. You know what I mean? Like, get over yourself. Like, this is your job. This is what you should be doing. So I think we over celebrate it, and then we make way too many excuses when they shoot 80. It's like that 80 should have been 75 all day if they would have been grinding. And maybe that college coach that's walking around sees that grind, you know what I mean? And goes, man, I want a kid like that fights for every stroke, and it's like, I'm going to call that little fucker because I want kids on my team that grind, it's like, I think every coach is savvy enough, every coach is savvy enough to know that any kid can play good when they're playing good. Like, anybody can play good when they're playing good.
Right.
But what does this person shoot? What does this person shoot when their golf world is sort of crumbling around them?
Right.
Like, what do they shoot then? And if it's not respectable, then we got to find out how to improve on that.
For sure. So I did have a few comments and questions from the viewers. I don't know if you got any questions on your side, but the one I was intrigued about is somebody asked me to ask you about the Rachel Miles bunker story. Do you remember that one?
Oh my God. Oh man. Well, this poor little girl. So I'm coaching this girl on my high school team. God, I wonder where that person came from. Who's that? I wonder.
I have to go back and look at it and see who it was. But
okay. The sweetest little girl ever. Never claimed or attempted to be, best of the best, golfers, but she gave it her all. She tried really hard, and at Arrow Creek, when we had this high school tournament, it's Bunkerville, dude. I mean, there are bunkers everywhere, and some of these bunkers have 6-foot lips. They're huge. She took like 7 or 8 shots to get out of this bunker, right? And this is when I was a little bit more of a dick than I am now. I'm still probably considered by most people, but and I only say this because I don't, at this point I'd have to be dating myself. Sure, I spent time with her in a bunker, right? Like, I mean, I showed her a few little shots, but never did we sit in a bunker and go, okay, here's how we do it. Here's how it's going. You got this? Okay, good. Can you do this whenever you need to? Okay. I mean, she had no idea what she was doing, right? I rip her a new asshole in front of every single person that was in earshot of this country club. And I told her to get her ass in this practice bunker, and she's not allowed to leave this practice bunker, until she, holes out 3 shots or whatever the hell it was. And God bless her. She was up there all freaking night long. I'm talking like 3 hours, bro. After a high school girls round, which was already 7 hours.
Yeah.
This little trooper was in that bunker till dark and just hitting bunker shot after bunker shot after bunker shot. And she finally got to the point where she could hit a damn bunker shot out in one try, no problem.
Wow.
But it was moments like that I think stand out in a lot of these kids' heads because they've just never had anybody talk to them like that. And I wasn't trying to be a dick. I was just trying to set that this is a golf team with a certain level of standards. And if you're going to put that emblem on your shirt and you're going to represent me and this team and yourself and your family, that shit doesn't work here. Like you don't take 10 shots out of a bunker. That shit don't work here.
Nowadays, you get a call from the parents after that. They're like, "What are you doing?
Yeah,
Why
I know.
are you know, right?" It's like,
yeah, her parents. I mean, I just retired from high school coaching. It was it for me because we've reached that place now where God bless everyone who's in high school coaching now, because I don't know if you can say anything anymore. I was starting to get more and more and more. My evenings were filling up with emails that I was having to answer to people that have no idea what I'm trying to do with their kid, nor the traditions and the excellence that this program brings to the table. And the fact that you put your kid in this environment and they don't even own clubs and you want to tell me what I'm doing with my job, fuck you. Get the fuck out of here. Leave me alone. Take your kid back to SeaWorld or wherever the hell you freaking got him and leave us the hell alone. Like your kid's not even a golfer. You know what I mean? Like you want to play on a varsity golf team that won a state championship last year and has won, 3 other ones. You're not getting it, bro. Like you're way out of whack. So that was a Rachel Miles story. Awesome girl. She actually played for a D2 school in,
nice.
I want to say, South Dakota. She went to South Dakota and she's now in the fitness world doing like sports medicine training and stuff like that. Like really cool chick, awesome family.
Mauricio Flores. That was the guy.
Okay.
That was the guy that brought it up.
Yeah. He was part of the Matt Newcomer, Phil Snow crew. I had like those 4. He was one of the guys who was working for me when Phil and Matt and those guys were working for me.
Gotcha. I had another question. I think it was Bill Pressey, maybe, about nutrition. Like, what do you recommend your kids eat? I think his question was, what do you eat before a round to like calm the nerves? But I think something that I try to get my kids to eat every 4 holes and not to need too much sugar. I mean, what do you recommend they eat? And how important is that?
You're probably a way better guy to ask this question than me, seeing that I'm about 20 pounds heavier than I was when I got started in this business. Yeah, man. If I can eat some chicken nuggets, man. Let's just rock and roll. For me, I got really into fitness and nutrition when I was competing. And it was almost like a sickness to the point where I'd almost rather go to the gym than hit balls. Or go to the gym rather than putt. Like if I got into a city that day, like it was like a crackhead. Like if I could find a gym to sign up for the week that I was there, because you couldn't go to the hotel gym because that was like dog shit. Like that gym was dog shit. So you had to go to like a real gym, right? Like you had to go like find a Gold's Gym or find a Planet Fitness somewhere, right? And you had to like go to the freaking GNC. And dude, I traveled with a blender and shit. It's like,
oh my gosh.
But for me, dude, I mean, it's like I just say stay away from caffeine. I don't like real heavy stuff. So like for me, it's like meal replacement shakes, like things like that. That gets it right into the bloodstream, like straight away. Mm-hmm. And like kind of neutralizes the digestion. I just think that, like even if you were to eat a turkey and avocado sandwich, like your stomach's still working pretty hard to break that stuff down after you've eaten it. So I would prefer to just, chug down a shake that's got all the vitamins and the proteins that I need. And then if I want to snack on nuts or if I want to snack on, beef jerky or something like that while I'm playing, or a bar, they make some really good bars now. They're all, organic and stuff like that. I just think, yeah, man, sipping on water. I haven't seen the reports on how the body actually breaks down. But I'm sure if we're talking anything over 80 degrees and you're on your feet for 6 hours and you're walking the equivalent of 5 or 6 miles with 30 pounds in your back, your gasoline tank is starting to get low. You know what I mean? There's no question. So I just tell my kids, like, look, dude, I know you're tough and I know you get in the moment and a lot of people's stomachs are queasy, before they play because, they're nervous. And I'm just like, you got to fill that gas tank up, dude. If you want to perform coming down the stretch, you got to be hydrated. You got to have something in that belly so that you've still got some sustained energy, coming down the stretch. Now, a lot of times they don't listen to me. But they do, they do need it for sure.
So let's get into some of the questions that I didn't get to ask you on the last podcast. Some of my fun questions. You game?
Okay. Yeah, let's do it.
Have you had enough to drink?
I think I'm on drink number 2. I'm doing pretty good.
I think we're about even. Because I don't think we even talked about young coaches. Like, what advice would you give to young coaches nowadays? Like, I always say, what's the landscape look like, right? So if you had, because, I mean, your journey's been a little different, obviously, coming from the playing side. But there's still some guys out there like that. But now looking back, now you're in the teaching world, right? I mean, even though, you're still trying to play a little bit, what do you think's important? I mean, what would you recommend young coaches do to get better?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think, young coaches out there, I'm super stoked for you guys. And I'm hoping that if you've chosen this line of work to do, that there's an aspect of your personality that allows you to communicate with another human being in an above average way. I think your ability to be chameleon-like is super huge in this business. If you're dealing with a doctor 1 hour and then a housewife the next, and then a junior the next, until you make it, and I'm not saying I make it, but most of the people that have worked their way in and out of my world, they can handle me being me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to adjust my personality near as much as I did, when I was first starting. But what I misinterpreted is that everybody wanted everything I had. It was like, I thought it was my job to give them, the keys to Caesar's Palace, when all they really wanted was to get the damn car valeted so they could go down the street and get a fucking burger. You know what I mean? A lot of times as golf pros, because we watch somebody shoot, let's say 95 or 100, and they lost 12 balls, and they've had a miserable time, and they did this and that. Well, in reality, we want them to shoot 80. They don't really want to shoot 80. They just want to shoot 90. And if you can give them that 10% that they're wanting at that moment, build that bridge of trust with them, that you're the guy in the future if they ever want to do anything else, other than shoot 90 and only lose 4 balls instead of 10, well, then you're their guy, right? But it's like, don't go on this fucking crusade thinking you're Mac O'Grady on crack and you're going to rebuild their whole fucking swing from top to bottom, and you're going to turn them into, the next Champions Tour player. And it's like, it's not going to happen, right? Like that's not real life. Real life is be very, very communicative with them and go, what do you really want? Yeah. You want to putt better? You want to hit it better? You want to score lower? You want to hit it farther? You know what I mean? Like what landscape are we trying to cover here? Because that was my problem.
Yeah, you got to find out what success means to them and make sure that you're in tune with that, right?
Exactly.
If you're on two different pages, then you're going to struggle because it's 100%. Not the same. Yeah, that's great advice.
100%. Yeah. So I think that would be it. And then the thing that I'm just telling you, I'm preaching, I am hammering it into my guys' heads. I have a list on my board of the shots that the game is demanding if you're choosing to play the game by the rules. And again, I'm not against teeing the ball up in the fairway for beginners and having a blast and whacking it around, but if you're going to play the game for score and look to improve from year to year, there's things that you will have to do consistently, no matter what architecture of course you're dealing with. And those shots need to be implemented into the teaching, syllabus that you're dealing with every player. So it's like, for example, you have to be able to hit a shot off the fairway with power. You have to be able to hit a bunker shot. You have to be able to lag putt. You have to be able to read a green. You have to be able to hit a ball off a tee box, right? You have to be able to have a 30-yard pitch and that goes high, medium, and low. Like, no matter what you're doing with these people's golf swings and what you're trying to get them to do, they still have to play golf while you're teaching them golf swing. And if you don't provide the ability for them to at least enjoy the game at a bare minimum while you're taking them on this fucking journey, that you're taking them on, you'll lose them. And then they'll blame you because you're not helping them shoot lower. Like, fixing your swing is not going to directly make you shoot lower scores. It will indirectly affect your scores over time, but it's not going to directly affect the scores you shoot. But if you teach that person how to hit a 30-yard wedge shot, and all they have to do in 2 hits is get it 30 yards from the green and they have confidence, well, dude, they're loving your ass. Like, they're super loving you at that point. You know what I mean? If a person gets in the bunker and isn't afraid to take 5 shots out of a bunker, they're loving you, right? I mean, they're totally loving you at that point. So I have these shots on my board that I tell my teachers that they have to infuse those every other lesson. So, like, when they sit the person down and go, look, we're going to do all this stuff with your game. We're going to do all this stuff with your swing. But in the midst of doing this, here are the shots you must have to enjoy golf.
Now, how many?
Here are the shots you must have to play the game.
How many are on the board? Or is there 10? You said, or is there more?
There's like 8.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like 8.
Go through. Can you go through the rest of them?
Yeah,
you covered a few of those.
Yeah.
But
So tee shot is one. So tee shot is one. And to me, tee shot doesn't mean like 300 yards, right?
Just
like,
in play? Is that like just no penalty?
Yeah, tee shot in play with some type of distance, right? Like, I would prefer it be I don't think, I mean, yeah, they do like a P790 now, right? Or a PXG. They make a good iron now that is kind of like a wood, but I'd prefer it to be with a hybrid 5-wood, 3-woods, something like that. Like, that has a trampoline face or a hot face, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they can get the most bang for the buck. So it's got to be tee shots is a big thing for me. Then it's got to be fairway shot with power. Like, what can you hit off the ground? Because it is a game that we play off the ground. So what can you hit off the ground with power? That's going to advance the ball down the fairway, right? Or next to the green. Third is stock 8-iron. In my opinion, and it's just my opinion, hopefully some other guys will agree, but the stock 8-iron, in my opinion, presents what I call a 3-for-1. So if a person can hit an 8-iron relatively well, then without changing the setup at all, ball positions, bottom of the swing arc, length, distance from the ball, nothing, then they can hit a 7 and a 9 too. If they can hit an 8, then they can hit a 7 and a 9. So now I just covered them like a 40-yard window.
Yeah, right.
So now they've got a 40-yard window, a 40-yard shaded area that if they can get it within that 40-yard window, they've got a pretty damn good chance of getting it next to the green. So that's a demand for me. Like, all my teachers demand that their students hit really, really good 8-irons and get confidence with it. Because if they get the 8-iron under their wing, then the 9 and the 7 come for free, in theory, right? And we just make them believe that. Then I get them a 50 and a 30-yard wedge shot. Because if they get it in the trees or they're on a par 5 and 3 or whatever, I want them to have the ability to understand how to use that club and advance that ball onto the green, whether it be high, medium, or low. Some players prefer the up in the stance one, like my handle draggers or whatever. And then if I got some flippers, I just put the ball off the back foot, let them fucking flip. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like, flip that shit. Flip it if you want. Like, you'll just flip it to the true loft if I put it off your back foot, right?
Right.
So I just try to get them to understand the importance of that. Then they have to hit a sand shot. They have to be able to hit a sand shot because the sand traps are everywhere on every course in America. It doesn't matter, right? So they have to understand how to hit a sand shot. So we teach them that. Then I give them a bump and run chip, a lag putt, and then good short putting. And those are my insurance policies that as I take you from wherever you are to where you want to go, I demand that you know how to do this shit because I'm not going to have you talking shit about me being the problem of why you're not playing good, So to me, I've been met with amazing acceptance with this, that I interchange every lesson. I'll do a swing lesson, then I'll pick 2 of the 8 counterparts. Then I'll do a putting lesson, I'll do 2 of the 8. Then I'll do another swing lesson, I'll do 2 of the 8. You know what I'm saying? So
so you're mixing it up.
I just bounce back and forth.
Sure.
And they love it because what that tells them, again, for you young teachers out there, you have to be of value. If you're not of value to them, you're replaceable. So try to find a way to become as valuable as you can and show them you care. What this tells them is that I'm understanding the fight. I understand the fight that you're going through. In the midst of us teaching you all this shit, you're still going to want to play golf. And in my opinion, the shots I just described is kind of like the foundational base of what a golfer would need to do to get around the course.
Yeah.
And if they can do that, then they're going to have fun while they're learning how to get better. So that's that.
100%. So what is one of the best and most worthwhile investments you've ever made? I mean,
TrackMan.
It could be TrackMan. Okay, there you go. Coming from all we've talked about, that leads us into a little technology speak. But tell me why.
Yeah, I've never been. I can't put it into. I mean, I guess I could put it into words, but I mean, a little bit of it is because of the weather here in Reno. We're 4 to 6 months, depending on the snow and how bad the winter is, that we're indoors. And what I'm witnessing is what I have the ability to do with a person now, the buy-in factor of TrackMan. Like when I show them, here's your backswing, drop your hands like this, put your knee here, do this. When they see those numbers change on the board, not only do I come out looking like a hero and like, the swing Jesus, but they see themselves in a different light for the first time in their life. They actually see themselves having the ability to change things. And it's very inspiring for them. And like, another thing is, like, if I got a guy swinging a 5-wood at 80 miles an hour, right? Not crazy fast, but he's not hitting it solid. I'll grab the fucking 5-wood from him, click that bitch at 80 miles an hour, and then it's going to go 2 1/4, right? At 80 miles an hour. He hits at 170, right? And he's going to look at the club like it's, been plugged into the wall overnight or something, and he's going to go, holy shit, how did you do that? I go, hey, look, I just want to show you. You swung 83. I swung 81.1. The ball doesn't know who's hitting it. It only knows how fast the club's traveling and how you're delivering it.
That's
brilliant.
brilliant.
So this should be very inspiring to you, that when we get this, and I always say when we get this is going to be you, motherfucker. Your old ass is going to be out here hitting a 5-wood. And he's like, that is going to be me. Shit, this is badass. And it's like, I would never be able to do that without TrackMan.
So it's technique, right? The importance of technique and, like you said, delivery, as opposed to everybody thinks it's just speed. And I always say speed without contact is no good. Like it's useless.
Exactly, right? But if I was just some Mexican on a driving range talking shit,
yeah,
and it's like, if I grab a 5-wood from some guy on a driving range, or even in my indoor facility, and I smoke it, well, what's the industry response? Well, yeah, you're a pro, dick.
Yeah,
you're supposed to be able to hit the ball good. Well, yeah, I am a pro, but I'm a pro that's swinging 25 miles an hour slower than I would normally hit this club.
Right.
Because I'm trying to swing it at the same speed you are. So if I can show them what they're capable of with the current speed that they bring to the table, it's a very inspiring lesson. You know what I mean? Like, it's that machine, and and Flight Scope. I'm not here to dog on anybody's shit.
Yeah.
It's like, I like TrackMan and
Radar.
TrackMan, right? But it's one of those things where that piece of technology makes the learning curve accelerated, creates games for kids that create pressure, makes the buy-in factor with what I'm trying to do for a person like 10x. I never have a guy like look at me sideways and go, you want me to do what? Because I can fucking prove it. I can show them, like, right there on the spot. Like, this is why I'm asking you to do this, dude. Like, you can't swing 15 left and 6 down with a driver. You can't. Like, you like, that ain't it, bro. Like, you're never gonna get it like that. Like, that ain't the shit. Trust me, dude. Like, it's not even close. But if I can get him to swing 5 left and 0 on an attack angle, and he gains 30 yards without swinging any faster or buying a new driver from fucking Golf Mart, well, guess what? I'm the man. Like, I'm
That's
the man
right.
because TrackMan made me look like the man, right? So it's just, I I don't know, maybe I'm on a rant right now, but
No, it's good. I know we wanted to talk a little bit about technology because I don't want everybody to think that you're not using stuff like that, because I know you are. But I think, again, you're so versatile and you have that edge of like being a great player, and then I wanted to really cover the playing lesson side because I think that's really your strength. But talk a little bit about, I mean, the last 4 or 5 years, you're digging into some good education. And like what's some of the best stuff that you've learned? I mean, I know we just finished the Scott Calx thing, and I know you're so intuitive of what's going on in the industry, and I want people to realize that.
Yeah. I'm the whole, like, I've been on Gears a few times, and my boy Sean Webb out in Louisiana is killing it out there at the David Toms Academy out there. Real big Gears guy. So I get some inside stuff from him. I haven't messed around too much with with Swing Cat and Body Track. And it was because guys like you who have done the dirty work on it. It's like, well, there's no definitive pressure trace that's getting a person to compress the ball completely better than somebody else, right? So it's like when it came time to invest in something like that, I kind of was waiting until some more definitive stuff comes out.
Sure.
There's no question that getting a student in tune with that connection point to the ground is like critical, no question. But I want to be able to do some stuff like do some stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So I haven't purchased one yet, but I've been on, plenty of them. And I've got the, what is it? The, oh dang, now I'm drawing a blank. Oh, it's not Hack Motion. Although I want that.
Yeah.
I want Hack Motion. I need you to actually tell me some of it.
Yes, you need to get Hack Motion.
Jesus.
And use your guru code, please.
I will. Guru code. We're gonna plug that.
Yes.
Blast Motion. Blast.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah, that's different.
So did Blast. With some stuff with the putter and things like that.
If you get Hack Motion, you don't actually need Blast though. It has the timing piece in there as well.
Oh, good.
People don't realize that.
Good. And I bought 4D. My boy
nice.
James Hong. So I've had 4D.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's super awesome. I actually got to call him because I bought it before, when I bought it almost 2 years ago now. So I know the calibration times and things have changed. We were having some issues with some of the calibration stuff. But there was some really cool 4D motion stuff that we brought to the table. So yeah, dude, I'm just I'm a little bit interested in everything, and I use myself as kind of the filter for all this stuff, you know what I mean? And then if I feel like, holy shit, I had no idea I was doing that. If I don't know I'm doing that, I can guarantee every single person I teach has no idea they're doing that. You know what I mean? So
sure.
It's kind of like if I can filter it through my instrument, and then once I realize the power of it, that's what leads me to kind of be on board with it or not on board with it. But like I said, like Swing Cat is on my radar, getting Hong to help me with this 4D stuff, and then the Hack Motion thing, I'm like, I want that shit.
Yeah, it's so easy, and I think you'll enjoy it. Definitely get up on that.
For sure, dude. But no, dude, I think technology, I gotta admit, when I first met you, like when you and I first met at that first PGA show.
Yeah.
When Doc had me down there. It was when, it's like Manzella this and this guy that and everyone and Finney this and freaking, whatever is the other dude's name is. I mean, it's like shit. Everyone's got a goddamn.
Yeah.
It's like everyone was fighting with everybody else, and then I'm just sitting there going like, okay, I get it. Everybody wants to be right. Everyone's got an ego. We're all guilty of that. But like, what about this 15 handicap who's willing to pay $300 to come meet one of you dipshits that's arguing with each other right now? Like, are you going to turn him into a 10? Like, are you really? Like, is this shit you're really spewing out right now? And if so, how long? Like, how long are you going to take 5 shots? How long is it going to take you? You know what I mean? Because, like, you know, and this would be great. I love Manzella, by the way. He's just an easy candidate to go after because he's out there, right? He's not afraid to put himself out there. So it's like, I sometimes want to know what Manzella, like, if I had no technology and Manzella had every single thing at his discretion he could have, who takes the 5 shots off faster and why?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
absolutely.
Why? Like if I just take the dude on the course and teach him how to lag putt and hit a bunker shot, am I going to get my 5 shots before he gets his by doing pressure trace and alpha torque and all this fucking bullshit? Like, is it gonna work or not? Like, and tell me, you know what I mean? Like, and if so, if he takes off 5 shots before me, dude, I'll bow down to the crown. Like, no problem, right? Like, I'll be like, dude, if I can afford it, let me have that shit. I'll give you my credit card right now. Teach me how to use it, you know? But I just don't know if golf works that way. I really don't.
Well, I think the best coaches, and you know, this is a deep dive, but they have that versatility, right? And that's what I try to get my guys to understand is golf lessons look differently every single time because you've got to read the student. You got to know what the student needs. You know, and what one person needs is what another person might fear. And that's just the way it is. And that's you know, just hundreds and thousands of hours in the trenches kind of get you that idea, unless you're just not paying attention.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like I said, if you're not getting better and at reading people and understanding, like, okay, I need to pivot and go do this with this guy and do this with another guy, then you're just not paying attention. You're not observing. But and that's why I always say that there's a lot of tools that need to be applied in the toolbox for most coaches to like be successful. If not, you're going to do well with,
of course,
you're going to do well with some people and then you're going to kill other people, right? It's just like, how do you spread yourself out to where, exactly. Well, yeah. And that happens. And then some, like I said, there's guys out there like that and they're great with good players and they do this. And then you have 2 or 3 guys that get better. But I mean, if you're going to survive like me, I got to teach everybody. You know, I'm not dealing with tour players every day. So you better be versatile, and you better be able to send a different message to every person to figure out what buttons you need to push to get that player to that from that 15 to 10 as quick as possible, you said, or if not, they're going to leave, or they're not going to have fun and they're not going to trust you. So, yeah,
totally. I mean, and I think that's too. It's like knowing that for those young coaches out there, you know, it's like I break it down into like different categories, right? You got beginner golfer, you got developing golfer, then you got your old crafty motherfucker, right? You got the old crafty guy who's super skeptical about golf lessons. He's been burned, 10 different times.
Yep.
He's kind of got a homemade cut shot. He shoots 82 when he putts pretty decent. He thinks he doesn't need you, right? And it's like, how are you going to win that guy over? Because
absolutely
that demographic of guy. Like, I think the 2 hardest guys to work with are the crafty intermediate player and then the wannabe scratch. The wannabe scratch that's tied to stupid shit that he thinks or she thinks is the reason why they are the player they are, right? They're fucking scratch because they played the same course for 20 years, right? And they got a decent short game and they hit it straight. Like, that's why they're a scratch. But like, if you take them anywhere else,
they don't travel. Yeah, they don't travel well.
But those players are dangerous. They're dangerous to work with because they're very skeptical.
Yeah.
They're set in their ways, right? So you got to know your audience, right? You got to. That's why, like, I just play with those kind of people. Like, I don't like make fun of them, but I like fuck with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's where you got to ask the right questions, and then pay attention, right? It's like just go all over the board with leading them in certain directions. Like, you almost got to be a dang lawyer sometimes, and a sports psychologist to like just push their buttons a little bit and see how they react. And then, know, kind of where you need to know where the line is. Right. And then you need to know, when to back off and then when to push it a little bit. and figure out how you're going to make them better. Yeah, it's that's exactly right. And I just don't know. There's no book out there that's going to tell you that. It's just all that's like certification of experience
man.
Of just getting in there, right? I mean, it's like the young guys don't want to hear that, but it's like this is what we did. Like I gave hundreds of bad golf lessons to get to that one where I go, I remember when I did that to this guy and it didn't work so well. Let's pivot and go this way. And like, so it's hard to figure that out, but it's kind of like that junior golf failure point that you made earlier. This is so good. It's like embrace the suck.
Yeah.
Giving my boy Sean Kennedy a little props there. Right. Brace the suck and then figure out how to do it better the next time. I mean, totally. But if you don't suck a few times, then you're never going to know what success looks like.
Yeah. And two, it's like, I hate to say this, but and it probably applies to over 50% of our industry. And I don't think I am, but I very well could be in that bottom 50 percentile, but I don't think I am. But it's like, we're supposed to be experts. Like, we're supposed to be fucking experts. People are paying for our expert opinion. Like, this ain't that, you know what I mean? Like, doctors get away with all the time. Like, doctors practice medicine. Like, that's kind of fucked up to think about. Like, for a second, we can have a whole nother conversation on the practice of medicine, right?
Let's go.
But it's like people like people aren't coming to us so we can like practice on them. That's not why they're coming to us, right? They're coming to us either to get a specific thing figured out or to set up some kind of a game plan for the enjoyment of the game going forward. Right. And for some people, that's lower scores. For some people, that's a better swing. For some people, that's a longer drive, right? For some people, that's the chipping yips and figuring it out, right? Like, whatever it is, right? But we're experts. And then you got these, a 20-something-year-old kid who's taught less than 20 golf lessons, and he's 25 years old, and he wants to charge, $150 an hour. It's like, well, dude, who the fuck are you? Like, what have you done? Like, what are you really gonna do right now, other than tell him something that he's already heard 50 times? Like, take it back low and slow, and get your weight to your right side. It's like, you're not even supposed to say weight anymore, dickhead. Like it's that kind of stuff. It's like, I've got I told my guys, and it was hard. It's hard for all the guys that have worked for me because I cast a pretty big shadow. But like, I first say you have to shadow me for 100 hours before you ever get to take $1 as a TGI instructor. Right? So my guys have to shadow me for 100 hours. Now, lucky for them.
Yeah, I was going to say, how long does that take?
I give 40 lessons a week.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take very long.
Sure.
Right? In theory. You know what I mean? They can be done with this thing in
2 or 3 weeks and they're good.
Between 3 and 6 weeks, depending on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
They're going to be through the 100 hours, right? Then I'm making them from, every couple of weeks, I'll sit them down and go, what are you learning? What are you watching? Where do you feel strong? Where do you feel weak? And then when we get out there, like, I'm almost willing to put another rule that says your first 100 hours of coaching is like on the house. Like you're going to give this away. You're going to earn this person's trust.
Right.
You're going to earn their money going forward. Like, I find it hard. I almost feel bad about saying, oh yeah, pay this guy $80 an hour. I'm 150, pay this guy $80 an hour because he's my assistant. You know what I mean? It's like, well, shit, what does he even know at this point? They just don't. And that's for a lot of the young guys in the industry. Like, I know it's hard. I know you don't want to go work at Applebee's, and wait tables, but like, maybe you should. Maybe you should work at Applebee's for a fucking year and tell people to go get you ketchup and tell them that your fucking burger's not hot and that you'll want to punch them in the fucking face 50 times. Like, you know what I mean? Like, maybe you should go work there while you're giving golf lessons for free so that you appreciate the industry, you appreciate the client, and you actually start to learn your craft. And that's where I just started barking loud because I was a player and I could get people on the course, and I just stayed in my lane. So I knew I was worth the price of admission when you got me on the golf course with somebody. Like, I knew I was worth that.
Right.
I wasn't worth a shit on a lesson tee teaching someone about shallowing the
center of mass of the club. Like I didn't know what the fuck any of that was. But you get me in a bunker with someone, you get me on a chipping green, you get me on a putting green, and you get me on a golf course, and I could hold my own, right? So as I've learned to do the other stuff, I pray that all the young coaches coming up just really appreciate the fact that this person, no matter how wealthy they are, is taking time out of their day to see an expert, and they're investing in you, and they're investing in to get this problem fixed. And you owe it to them to be able to fix it, or don't take their money.
How often do you observe your assistants teaching? Like during that 100 hours, or is it afterwards? Yeah, I was gonna say I think that's an important part of the mentoring process too.
My follow
being
through,
able to watch it because I love doing it. One, because I learned, because I didn't realize you knew that, because my guys are learning all kinds of cool stuff from other coaches, and we're sharing and we're doing the training stuff. But
your guys are rad. I like your guys.
They're awesome. I'm lucky, but also I'm putting them under a little pressure, right? So it's like when I'm watching them, they always act a little different.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I've noticed that the few times I have watched them, I can tell they're pandering to both parties, and I'm so hardcore on making it about the client that I wish I could just be a fly on the wall. But when I do choose to watch, I know that the person in front of them is getting a watered down show because I'm watching.
Yeah,
so usually sense. I'll fill in with a few little sentences here and there to kind of not save the day, but just to add a little flair to the lesson. I'll throw a little fucking, zinger out there at them, and make them laugh or feel good or whatever. Right. But it's like, I do need to watch them more, but it's like I said, it's just anybody who's being observed is sometimes a little, weird about it. So I just try to do the best I can about teaching them the right way, and then staying in their lane when it comes to stuff and not getting overly complicated. And sometimes one, hey man, we're going to figure out how to swing right today. Fuck it. I don't give a shit if you hit a foot behind every damn shot. I could care less. Right? It's like, show me on that track, man, where swing direction, I'll have them cancel all the fucking numbers out and put swing direction on a big ass cube up on the screen and go, make that bitch say positive. Anything else is not good enough right now. I'm going to put a damn boulder, and I'm going to drive your Mercedes over here and put it right behind your ass. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to do anything and everything so you don't hit this. But it's like, sometimes it's just that, it's just like the accomplishment of somebody for an hour fixing the root cause of why they don't play good golf, right? Like, learning transition and wrist joint and how to shallow the club and like stuff like that is undersold. Like, I could care less if they shallow it, swing right, and hit a good shot. Now I know they care, but in the moment, I just want that number to say what it needs to say so that they can realize they're not stuck in the place they are forever.
What's been your best, I guess, concept or idea of making people change, or has it changed over the years? Especially like when you start talking about swing direction or club path, or just change in motion in general. Like, describe your style. I guess you've seen me teach, and you know how I teach. I'm very hands-on and do a lot of P&F stuff, and constraints and whatnot.
Once I give them the freedom, I've noticed that I didn't know I needed to give them the freedom to mess up. I didn't know that was a thing. And for the first 5 years of me coaching, I even thought in my dumbass head that what I was teaching them to do was instantaneously going to line the club up and get low point forward, right? I didn't realize that most people that swing dead left, the first phase in how they shallow out a club is to do it all wrong. They're not going to do anything right. They're going to tip their upper axis dead back. They're going to keep all the angles all crimped up like a fucking T-Rex. And they're going to hit a foot behind the fucking ball like 20 times in a row, right? But it's like, if that's the beginning of something better, well then rock and roll. Like let's fucking do this shit. Take your damn T-Rex and tilt your shit to the right, and let's start topping balls instead of laying sod right over the ball. Like, let's start hitting some thinny toppers, right field. And it's like, I'm cool with it.
Well, that's
like,
when TrackMan's helpful
cool
too, right? Like, you're like, okay, it felt awful,
right.
And I know the result wasn't there, but look, you actually changed something in what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, you went from -15 to +1.
Yeah.
Right? You know how to find golf ball at -15. I'll give you that. The problem is you're never happy with any of the shots that come off after you found the ball.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know how to find the ball at a +1 swing direction. And right now you're not doing it right. But I'm cool with it because you're at least trying. You're trying to do something different. And what I didn't realize is when I gave the person the freedom to mess up, it happened way faster. Everything I needed to get done happened way faster. They didn't have to swing right and hit it pure. Like, my dumbass thought that was going to come naturally. It's kind of like I can only imagine, dude, like every dude that went to a Mac school, right? It's like, oh, dude, if I keep all this wrist cock and keep my upper COG stacked in front, I'm going to just smoke this ball like Mac. It's going to be fucking sexy. No, you're going to skank fade it and chunk the shit out of it because you don't know what you're doing, right? And you're not Mac O'Grady, who, by the way, is one of like the top 10 ball strikers of all time, dude. So get that shit out of your head right now, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, I used to Doc, dude, fucking Doc would make me watch these videos, and the positions he had, John Doherty's big old country ass, in some of these locked and loaded fucking P6 coming down fucking off the gilly with the looking like Norin, like Alex Norin and shit. And like expecting a guy that works in a pro shop to find a way to burst up and out of that from P6 to P8, like, you know, like an elite athlete, you know what I mean? And just stripe this thing. It's like a fucking joke.
In
like,
short
he had
shorts.
no chance to hit this. Yeah, in short shorts. Had like 30 fucking reflector rods sticking in the ground and shit.
Yeah.
Baseline here and there and all this other shit. I was like, good Lord almighty. But for me, it was just, that's probably been my biggest strength and change, is just really being cool with people. Like, dude, nice shot. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, if I say that to someone, then the top becomes a smile instead of a cringe.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, it goes from a drop kick to a blade, from a blade to a top, from a top to a kind of got it. And then within a couple of weeks, you know, they're starting to get balls that hang out to right field, and they're matched and path, and they're figuring out ways to get the ball back to target and, you know, on a draw side. So for me, that's been, I think, the best thing that I've been able to do.
Speaking of Doc, are you comfortable sharing any of your Doc stories? Because I've got some got some great ones. I've got so many. Like, when we hung out and used to do schools together and just hang out, I used to get the video camera out just to like document all this
he's
stuff.
The best. Yeah, he's a beauty. He's a fucking beauty.
I've got so many cool videos in the vault of me and Doc and John Graham and Rob McGill and some of these guys, and the Mac walk, you know, where he's got the ear to the right shoulder, the neck tilt. I mean, it's just beautiful. You got to give me something.
Okay, well, one night we're drinking, and he's got this, you know, Doc's got this DVD collection of all the TGM stuff, Homer stuff. Like, I'm talking like Secret Sauce.
Oh yeah, I've got a little bit of that.
Like, so he's got Homer DVDs, and he's got Mac DVDs, and he's got like Mac in the fucking 80s, where he's like whizzing balls past a VHS camera, like old school Bobby Jones shit, you know, like all kinds of crazy shit. So we're sitting there one night, and we're way too many drinks in, and he goes, "Pard, I'm on it. Got the sauce, got the optics on point, Pard. I got it." And I'm like, "What are you fucking talking about?" He goes, "Set up." So here I am in the middle of his living room. I'm setting up to the 7-iron, and of course I'm still in that, just like I said in the podcast with Sevi, right? Like, I'm trying to do like my version of what I think Adam Scott or Tiger looks like, right? So I've got my ass out, back straight, right? Like, I don't really set up like this in real life, right? Yeah. But I'm trying to do like the most professional looking setup you can do, right? He goes, "Tell me when you're ready." I'm like, "All right, dude, I'm fucking ready." He whips out from behind his back these 7-Eleven sunglasses. And what he's done is he's taken a tube of toilet paper. He's chopped the toilet paper tube in half. So you got these like 2-inch extensions. He's duct taped those 2-inch extensions to the sunglasses that he's popped the lenses out of. So you got these like Mr. Magoo fucking glasses on.
With the focal deviation.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so
I love it. The neck tilts.
I'm setting up to the ball, and he puts these glasses on me, and he goes, "Can you see the ball?" I go, "Fuck no, I can't see the ball." And he goes, "Start putting your chin down so you can see the ball."
Yes.
So I put my chin down, and I swear to God, dude, it felt like I was standing on top of the ball. By the time I got to like where my chin was on my chest, and I'm actually like, you know, optically centering on this fucking ball. He said, "What do you want to do right now?" I go, "I want to get the fuck back and go low to the ground." He goes, "Do it, Pard." And he's videoing me, right? Like he's videoing this whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, we're drunk, right? And he's videoing me. Next thing you know, dude, I swear to God, I looked like Mac. Like I started looking like Hogan and Snead and these
rounded
guys.
Upper thoracic. He got the eyes down.
Dude. And I got into this thing, and we were hammered. He goes, "Oh, Pard, you're looking mint, Pard. You're looking mint julep right now, Pard." I go, mint julep. I feel like a hunchback of Notre Dame. What the fuck are you talking about? And so he goes, "No, dude, now you'll be able to trace the baseline. You'll be able to do this." And of course, I'm still learning all this shit at this time. I had no idea what he was talking about. But that was one of my doc stories. And here we are, like 1 a.m, and he's got these toilet paper tube, you know, glasses on me, and I'm in this fucked up hunchback setup, and then I feel like the most non-athletic golfer you could feel like, and he's telling me that I look like, you know, Mac on steroids. You know, he's like I'm ready to rock, you know, and I'm going, dude, I could never hit a ball from here if my life depended on it.
Oh
exactly,
my
right?
gosh, yeah, that was the I'll tell you, quick one with us when we were doing a school down at Rob's place, and we were just talking, and I was like, show me the Mac stuff, right? And he's like, well, the main thing, and he's like, I show the kids this every time. So you can imagine, we're on a podcast, but imagine your right ear sort of attached to your right shoulder as you're finishing. I call it sort of the good player tilt. And he's like, and he's down, you know, and you got the sort of the stock Tommy Fleetwood finish, and he's got the attachment. And he goes, imagine you got a chain from your right ear to your right shoulder, and he starts walking around in circles. He's walking around. He's like, this is the Mac walk. And then you got to remember, you got to make sure you smile. So he's got his mouth wide open, and he's smiling. He goes, every time they hit the ball, I don't care if it's good or bad, I got to make sure they're here, and they smile. And I was like, oh, my God. And we were rolling on the floor. I mean, it was just, it was the greatest thing ever. He's a beauty, and he's so serious, too. He's like, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, Pards, this is it.
Dead serious. This will be the kick. This will be the last doc story. I'll end it with this one.
That's
so
cool.
I take the guys that backed me like my second, third year on tour were out of Nashville, Tennessee. And they invite me on this golf trip, you know, every year to this day. It's in September. And I decided to bring Doc with me when we were working together because they wanted to meet him. They're like, you know, who's teaching our tour pro, right? So I bring Doc up, and he's just getting shithoused, right, with all of these sponsors of mine, right? And they're fucked up. Everyone's hammered, right? And so now it's like, now everyone wants a free golf lesson.
Oh, sure.
Right? Because we're outside barbecuing in these cabins and stuff up in Paris Landing, Tennessee, like near where the Kentucky, you know, Lake Kentucky is up there, and it's all outdoor kind of woodsy shit. So we're out there freaking barbecuing and drinking, and so this guy comes up. He goes, Doc, yeah, I've been meaning to ask you some stuff about my swing. He's like, all right, Bart, give it to me, man.
Oh no!
Struggle with this and this and this, and the guy's like, you know, and Doc's hammered, right? And Doc goes, you know what? Fuck all that shit. Make a couple swings for me, Part. Let me see it. Let me see the sauce. So the guy, Doc hands him a club because the guy's trying to explain what he does wrong.
Uh-huh.
And so Doc says, bro, just swing the club, man. He goes, don't worry about it. So he takes 2 practice swings, right? And Doc's kind of shaking his head. He goes, no, man, seriously, show me your real swing. And the guy looks at Doc. He goes, that is my real swing, dick. And Doc just goes, I can't help you, Part. You got no Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Doc. Yeah.
I mean, dude, just totally destroyed the guy's rest of his trip. The guy shot like 110 like the rest of 3 days. Like
He's got
it was
no
like
chance.
so the tagline was no pard, show me your real swing.
Show me your
That
real-
is my real swing, Dick. Yeah, dude. So that was the Doc story, dude.
That's
He's
awesome.
a beauty, man. Super smart guy. Just I owe him so much. He holds such a dear place in my heart. And I got to tell you, man, like he'll go on these rants. You know, you've been there.
Oh yeah.
And he'll go on these rants for 10, 15, 20 minutes. And I'd say 80% of that rant, you've either heard it before or you could give two shits about it. But in the 20% in there somewhere, there are some fucking pearls, dude.
Oh yeah.
There are some serious pearls that he'll throw out there. And if you pick up on the pearls, dude, then you're better for knowing John Doherty, no doubt about it.
Absolutely. Well, all things come to an end, my man.
Yes,
I think
brother.
we could go on for another hour, and we haven't even discussed our future possible junior camp.
Yeah, business idea.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
business idea. But I think go through it just for a minute, and then we'll kind of wrap up. But I think it's great.
I want to just bring. I think there's so much great information out there. We know so much more. There's so much less guesswork now in what it takes for a kid to go from zero to hero, right? And we've got this support system in the parents that we can also educate now as to what's the proper way to bring your kid up, what's the proper way to be on the same team with them or her, and then what things should we be caring about more than other things to get the job done faster. And what I would love to do and what I would love to challenge or entertain any ideas from any of the other guys listening is what if we just got together 4 or 5 times a year with a group of kids and parents, and it was an interactive experience with on-course training, technology training, parent psychology, kids swag psychology, right? I mean, and then we bring college coaches in on the back end and be like, look, man, this is what we're doing. We bring some college coaches in to speak and say, hey, this is what I'm looking for in a collegiate player, because everything's got to work backwards from what you need to be able to do, right? You need to be able to shoot even par when you're not playing good. You need to be able to shoot under par when you are playing good. So how do we get people to do that faster? And how can we get the whole team to work holistically to make that journey fun and entertaining and where everybody wins, basically.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. Again, it's going to take an incredible amount of planning, but obviously we've got a lot of good relationships we've built, and it's like my vision is sort of bring all the best in each field, whether it's a Scott Fawcett, a Dr. Brett McCabe, a James Hong, these guys that are great at coaching juniors and, build an experience that kids are going to walk away with, and parents, more importantly, like you said, I have the list here. We can kind of run through what you send me, which I thought was really good is, the parents, telling them how to not be bad junior golf parents to make it clean. Teach them how the tournament landscape works, the ranking points, so forth. Teach them how the recruiting process, and you can sort of build that into parents and kids.
Yep.
And more importantly, put them in touch with recruiters, right? So we both know some recruiters that can help that process, and then letting them know the rules, how teams and how, show them how, the coaches sort of work, right? I mean, it's such, and I'm educating people, every day as you are, and sort of learning as we go.
Right.
But it's just it's a process that a lot of times kids or parents don't learn till like they're in their junior year, and they're like, oh wow, if I'd have known this when I was a freshman, maybe my kid would have had a little better opportunity to play for the school they wanted to play for.
Exactly. And that's just what we're doing, right? We're just taking all the mistakes, and we're taking everything, and we're just kind of condensing it down
and turning it into a weekend experience where we can, possibly remove, a lot of the wasted time that parents and kids are spending, and what's that worth, not only to us as golf coaches to produce better players in a faster, more, I would say, more concise way. But it's also like on the money side, I mean, that's why you bring consultants into your business. You bring consultants into your business to help the business run faster and more efficient and make you more money.
That's right.
So if we can get a kid from point A to point Z faster as a group of Scott Fawcett's and Hongs and McCabe's and Suttons and Trevinos and everybody else, get Foley there because I want a lesson on the back end. But but
so I'm already fired, man. What's up? You don't know me, bro. I'm better than you think I am.
Listening. Yeah, bro, give me a chance, bro. I swear. Yeah, it's just something that has been near and dear to me, and I've just been thinking like I want to have more of a direct effect on kids, and that's what I think we should call it.
Yeah. Well,
that's what we're doing.
We're putting it out in the universe
directly affecting
today that it's going to happen. I don't know, when. Like you said, we're all busy, and me and you have been talking about this for a few months, and I think obviously we got to run with it, and we've got, like I said, such good talent around us and relationships that we've already built that could make this happen and really push our industry forward with the kids, and especially the elite kids that want to take it to the next level. So I appreciate the passion and the ingenuity that you have, and I appreciate your friendship, bro.
Of course, man. Me as well, dude. I can't tell you, this has just been super fun for me to do. Like I said, I apologize to anybody that I might have offended last time, but it's
too late.
There's gonna be a part 3. There's gonna be a part 3. I can promise.
Absolutely.
You. And if I have a few too many, shit might get out of hand again. But for right now, I think we did a good job on this one, and I just can't thank you enough for having me on the show.
Absolutely, man. Well, tell everybody how they can reach out and say thank you, or send you, drop you a DM and give you a social wave. Give them your platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. We're at email is tgireno@gmail.com, and then Instagram is Trevino Golf Institute, and hit me up on that. I'm not doing anything really on the Twitter handles at the moment, so I would just stick to emailing me or Instagramming me. And anytime you guys are in the 775 in Reno, please look me up. You can Google me, any of that crap. I'm all over the place, and I would love to go out, have a drink or hit some balls or, do whatever we got to do.
You're the best, my man. Keep up the great work.
All right, brother. Thanks, man. Love you. Take care, brother.
Got it. Love you too. What's up, everybody? Guru back here again with a couple of things before you go. First, big thank you to Chris Trevino for coming on the show once again and sharing some great stories and some great information on coaching and teaching that I hope you can apply to your teaching and to your life, and also to help your students. Make sure you reach out to Chris on Instagram and Twitter at Trevino Institute, or check out his website at trevinoinstitute.com, and then say hello or ask him any questions if you have any. Hit him up on the DM. Also, you can follow me on the Twitter or the gram at Golf Guru TV. I would love for you to follow me, check out my stuff, shoot me a DM, ask me any questions, let me know how I can get better. Also, check out my website at golfgurutv.net, where you can find videos, articles, and more information on my teaching and coaching. And if you have any questions or comments about the show, you can email us at golfgurushow@gmail.com, or like I said, hit me up on the DM on the gram or the Twitter or the Facebook. The Book of Faces is available as well. This show and all episodes of the Golf Guru Show were produced by myself, Jason Sutton. Music is by Zach Mullet, aka Cutta Beats. Leave me an iTunes review. Let me know how I'm doing. Give me a 5-star rating. That would be awesome, as it helps us to grow the show and to create this content that we keep giving out. And as I leave you with the infamous Jim Rohn quote, study, practice, teach, and then pass it on. Thank you so much for listening. I'll talk to you next time.